Hi everyone, good evening, and welcome to Leverage Day 3. So good to have you here. Good evening, Fuki. I trust you're doing well.
I'm doing well, sir. Good evening. Good evening, everyone. It's great to have you all join us today.
Welcome. Really amazing. I'm not sure you're streaming from Nigeria. You look so good. Good to have
You
you here once again.
very
And
well.
welcome to all of our guests streaming in. Today is Power Packed, and we're going to have a very amazing time. A time we're really going to contend for time today because there's so much value coming to the table. If you're just joining this stream, we can have some energy from you in the comment section, like we always do. If this is your first time, you're welcome in. And of course, if you're returning, I'm sure you're returning for a very good reason, which is that you have always had a very amazing time. So please, as you're joining in, let's know you're in. Let's know you're just coming. Let's know how the previous sessions have been. And if possible, if this is your first time, you let us know where you're streaming from, and that would help a great deal. In the next few minutes, Fuki and I will be sharing with us the lessons that we've drawn, especially from day two. She was writing a whole lot yesterday. I was carried away thinking of how I can get a degree in financial accounting because that was very necessary. All right, so please, Fuki, over to you. What are some of the things we should take note of that was mentioned yesterday by our speakers?
Yesterday was value packed. A lot to learn, a lot to glean from our amazing
Yeah,
speakers. First of all, Dr. Ideni spoke about being fruitful, meaning being responsible, being productive, and being valuable. That was my major take home yesterday.
amazing.
We are mini creators to create together with God. We are not meant to just, yes, you're in the world and just take your business lightly. Do not take your business lightly. Do not take what God has placed in your hand in as your gift, your passion, um, needs around you. Do not take any of those for granted. Ensure that
Yeah,
you place value in all that you have, in all that you have learned. And as you learn, you need to ensure that you imbibe what you are learning as
yeah.
well as you learn and practice, because it's possible for you to take in so much knowledge and then you're not able to practice what you had learned. So it's important to implement everything that you're learning here in Leverage 2024 so
Mhm.
that you can be able to have a great business moving forward. From Mr. Olainka Salami, wow, wow, wow.
You can say
I had never seen finances like that. I mean, my eyes were opened. I'm like, am I sure I don't want a private session with this man to pay for? It
that.
was value packed. He had a lot to say. Um, he spoke about being intentional with your short term and long term goals. He spoke about budgeting, very important. And he spoke about the fact that budgeting is planning. You need to be able to plan your finances, you need to be able to prepare your cash flow so that it will then enable you to grow your business from ground level to wherever you would want it to be. You need to access your financial situation. You need to review your past financial records. You need to understand your revenue. You need to understand your expenses. You need to monitor your cash flow management. You need to remember that your business is an entity on its own. So, if possible, pay yourself salary. Do not
Yep.
depend, do not strain your business. Pay yourself, place yourself on a salary. That way, you don't get to have your business catering for your uncle in the village, your business catering for different other needs. You know that I have a salary, so I work within my means and allow
Yeah.
my business to grow. A lot of
Absolutely.
take home. Identify risk. Someone asked about a question about risk. You know what is very fascinating about this year's leverage, as is the other years, is the questions bring out so much more from the speakers.
Yeah. Yeah.
The questions
Definitely.
trigger a lot more. Yes, they trigger a lot more, and then it's like an eye opener. You get to know, understand better the subject matter, and as well as understand how to move forward with your business. One other very important thing from Mr. Olayinka Salami was taking records, book records. Always
Yeah.
take inventory. Always take inventory. As a small business owner, as a growing business, always take
Mhm.
inventory. Do not on make sure you tag every transaction that you do. This will mean that you ensure that most of your transactions go through your bank application,
Yeah,
and
true.
always having narration to it. It is very, very important, so that on the day of reckoning, like you said yesterday, you would have your books prepared and ready to be reviewed. So
Wow.
much value yesterday. It's been
Amazing.
so eye opening. I'll hand over to you, Mr. Ebel.
All right, thank you so much. I am not seeing as much energy I expected to see in the chat room. For those just joining, thank you so much for being a part of the stream tonight. First off, what we are trying to do is to ensure that your friends and family are aware that we're now live. So just take that link, share it on platforms that you belong to, especially on your status, to let people know that something major is happening here. Of course, if it's not valuable, we would not be recommending it this much. So let's keep that energy and vibe going as we are
Mhm,
in here. Also, it would be good to hear from you who is now online, one or two lessons that you have drawn from the sessions yesterday. You know, Dr. Dane mentioned about analysis paralysis, that moment when you're staying too much on a particular idea, trying to understand how will it work, what thing would you need to do for it to work, and keep going over and over and over and over until you see the exact implementation of what you're hoping to do, through another person. And that can hurt a lot. For
a
some,
lot.
it's that they've even shared the ideas everywhere, but they've never
Yeah.
implemented. And you get
Mhm,
offended at the end of the day. That's wrong, you know, and greatly to be learned from Mr. Inka yesterday too. Was especially when he was talking about how that you can manage your small businesses finance, you know,
mhm,
you have all of the records there, and when you're doing transfer you can even peg whatever thing that is used for. Imagine you trying to help a family member who is in need, and you're using your company accounts and you're seeing the description supports. There's no way that it fits into your organization's
mhm,
progress, and the records just show it. So we see businesses dying every now and then, and that's because they've not been able to keep good track of the financials that the business has at that moment. And it's good we're having all of these conversations, especially for businesses who are trying to stand, who are trying to function well enough. And we're certain that after now, in the next 1 year, when we converge again, people will have big, audacious testimonies about things that has turned around for them in through the course of this amazing sessions. Today is going to be nothing short of powerful, power packed. So I'd like you to still sit still and get ready as we are preparing to have all of the amazing, amazing conversations that we'll have. From day one, we had Dr. Kola Ojo, who took us through the value system and value proposition and how you should handle that. He will be concluding that thought today. We've also had Dr. Eden talk to us extensively about how small businesses can also thrive for those who are largely into entrepreneurship. We've had Mr. Salami to take us through a journey of how that you can begin to manage through ethical cultures your financial stands with your business. Today, we would have the three of them still speak to us much more extensively. And then tomorrow morning, we'll be wrapping up the session for leverage. And I'm sure you'd want to be a part of that, especially if you're in the city of Jos. And if you're not, you can stream on any of our channels. So if you're just joining us today, one of the big plea will be to follow, subscribe, like, show as much energy as possible. And we'll be grateful to see that. I'm just seeing a comment from someone coming in. I'll take that, and then we can call our speaker for tonight to kick the ball rolling for tonight's session. Sharon is sharing that she has learned that she can profit from her talent, gifts, passion, people's needs, and from problems around. Amazing. Those
mhm,
are the five major areas where you can profit from. You can begin to map that out and get an accountability partner that would hold you accountable for that. Becky is sharing, let me take that as well. That business is an entity on its own. Don't mix personal expenses with business expenses. Amazing, amazing. So if you want to buy gas for your house, pay yourself so that you can get gas for the house. Not that you purchase personal items on a company account. And it's also important that you should have a business account that you have for business expressions. Um, all right, great. Other persons are just sharing their anticipation for tonight. Yesterday we
Yeah.
had shared Dr. Dane's profile. So because of our time, I'd like us to all just with a round of applause and some energy in the room, can we welcome for the third time at Leverage 2024, Dr. Emmanuel Ideni Schwaibu. You're very much
Woo!
welcome, sir.
You're welcome, sir.
Yeah, let's have the energy everywhere. You're welcome. You're welcome.
Woo!
You
We're
look
glad to have
very
you
bright
join us today.
and happy this evening, sir. All right, sir. If you can hear me, your audio is muted.
Okay, it's a pleasure to be here once again, third day on a row, and
Yes,
I want
sir.
to thank the New Covenant Church just for staging this consistently. I saw somebody today, and the person was telling that I listen to you. I listen. I say where? You see on leverage. And I remember of NCC. She said no, that a friend sent a link to her.
Amazing.
Can
Amazing.
she touch me? I'm like, I'm flesh and blood, you know.
Mm,
But you
Amazing.
see,
Welcome, sir.
that's what impact does. You tend
Yes.
to impact a lot of people more than you even want to know them. So, and today I'm going to speak on a subject matter that many people have hitherto confused about, and
Yeah.
I will try to make sure this 40 minutes is enough.
Yeah.
But truth of the matter is, even if we have a whole week talking about some of this subject matter, what
mhm,
is usually the crux of the matter is go and do likewise. I am big on execution. So, and when you do, it helps you to know how to, adjust or make amends and make progress. So, today, I want us to consider something that, incidentally, Mr. Oloyinka Salami touched on some of those things on a professional level, but I want to break it down in pieces in such a manner that you will extray yourself. And that is what I term multiple streams of cash flow versus multiple streams of income. They are two different things. Multiple streams of cash flow versus multiple streams of income. And I want us to pay close attention. And for those who are taking notes, please write down as much as you can, because you will discover that a lot of things you think are income are not income. This will now help you to now go back to what Mr. Olenka said yesterday about budgeting and record keeping. In fact, in entrepreneurship training, record keeping is a whole module that you treat. So just imagine a whole module, somebody is trying to squeeze in 10 minutes to talk about it. That means there's a lot to be done. And you don't even need to be an accountant or have a background in accounting to be able to keep records. So today, we'll be looking at multiple streams of cash flow versus multiple streams of income. And that's what I want to concentrate on. Now, the first question I usually like to ask is a quote by Bill Walsh. He says, if your why is strong enough, you will figure out how. Many people who are in business do not know why they are in business, but they want to figure out how to do the business. First leg of the table has been removed. If your why is strong enough, you will figure out how. Many people do not know why they are in business, but they want to find out how to do the business. And that is the problem for many people. So you may need to go back to the drawing board. to sort that out. So, what is cash flow? What is income? They are two different things. Most of the time, many people in business tend to confuse revenue and income. Sales is not income. It's not. So let me quickly provide a definition. Revenue is any form of money you make that comes in as sales, inflow, or salaries from goods or services that is rendered. Any form of cash inflow that comes in as sales, revenue, or salary. So permit me to remove the second leg of the table. Your salary is not a stream of income. Your salary is a stream of cash flow, not stream of income, because revenue is sales. So you have people having sales. You go to their shop, you see people trooping in on queue, buying this, buying that. That is sales. That is revenue. That is not income. Because I'll be making reference to a lot of things that Mr. Lanka shared yesterday in trying to drive this point home. So, if we now know that revenue is any form of money that comes in as a result of sales, inflow from services rendered, salary, then what is income? What is income? Now, income is what is left to be utilized after expenses have been deducted from revenue. Income is what is left to be utilized after expenses have been reduced. So you are paid a salary of 200,000 naira. That salary is stream of cash flow. It's not stream of income, because what you did to earn that 200, you transport, you enter vehicle, or you fuel your car, you bought dress, you ate food at work. All those things must be taken out of 200 before you can say the difference is your income. But most of the people will tell you their salary is a stream of income. Your salary is a stream of cash flow, not a stream of income. We need to settle that, because most people carry this mentality into business and find it difficult. So revenue is not equal to income at all. So you have some person, you earn a salary, you have a small side hustle, as we call it in this part of the plan, and you say you have multiple streams of income. What they are trying to say is that they have multiple streams of cash flow, because money comes in and money goes out is what is cash flow, basically. So if we agree that income is what is left, it means that we need to keep proper record. So have you heard of the word disposable income? But you have not heard of the word disposable revenue. You can never hear of anything called disposable revenue, because a lot of things constitute revenue. It is disposable income because it is what expenses have been deducted from that you can spend. Even that your salary that is paid to you eventually, your employer have probably taken out your payee, taken out your pension contribution, and probably every other thing that you have that's supposed to be taken out. We need to lay this foundation properly, because many people do not have this understanding, and they carry that mentality to go and run a business, and that's where the problem is. So you will only hear disposable income, you will not hear disposable revenue. So what most people categorize as multiple stream of income is actually multiple streams of cash flow. This is true because they don't make any income from the stream of cash flow they have. For those of us who earn salaries here, you discover that at the end of the month, when that salary is paid, you use it to settle debts that were incidental to you getting to do that job, and you don't have anything left at the end of the day, because income is supposed to be something left after expenses have been deducted. This mentality has to be unlearned deliberately, so that when you know what your income is, and Mr. Laika said it yesterday, I was just listening, I was like, this man has peeped into my preparation. When he said, you say you made a profit of 300, if you didn't consider tax, if that tax is to be deducted, you may not have made profit at the end of the day. And these are the little foxes that could spoil the vine. You have to deliberately deduct all incidental expenses to determine your income. So you are into catering, you baked cake for somebody 40,000 naira. That 40,000 is revenue, is not income. You must take away the cost of the flour, the cost of the sugar, the cost of the item, if possible, the cost of your intellect and skill to put that into place. That's why you find out that in our climate, people find it very difficult to charge for what they do, particularly for those of us that render services. Yeah, people will tell you it's not just come and talk. They cannot put a fee to their services, or they tend to underprice because they say if the price or the fee is too high, nobody pays. And that is where it stems from, because of lack of that understanding. But we must not do that, because the business has a life of its own, like we have established sufficiently. So there can be cash flow, but you're operating at a loss. Somebody needs to write that down. There can be cash flow, but you are operating at a loss. That in itself is not even an issue. How do you even know you're operating at a loss? Because you are keeping proper records. I give an example of a departmental store in Nigeria that we know popularly called ShopRite. The first day they opened one of the branches in Abuja, in Gudu, the first day they opened it, they had a sales of 16 million. But ShopRite kept on posting loss for 5 good years. So there could be cash flow, but you are operating at a loss, because everything that constitutes the business being alive must be considered. And like somebody asked the question yesterday, is it when you are a big business? The problem is, if you don't do these things as a small business, you find it difficult to do it when your business begins to grow. That's what the challenge is. I maintain a revenue file. I've maintained it since COVID. Every inflow that comes in for me, by virtue of what I do, there's an Excel. I put it in, I capture it every day, so that I know what goes out to where and to be responsible for what. So there can be good cash flow and you still be operating at a loss. That is not a problem if you can keep track of your expenses. But because we are not too good with record keeping, we do not keep record of our expenses. We just say, how much is this thing? A lot of people that run edible things in their shop, they are the ones that eat more than the other persons. You put one sweet in your mouth, you put this in your mouth, you dash somebody one ton. All those things you are eating into your profit unknown to you. And worse off, you are not even keeping records. And if you do not keep records, it's a major problem. Mega problem. So let me move fast. So what is now cash flow projection? Because I have just less than 30 minutes. Cash flow projection is a forecast of revenue and expenditure over a period of time. This period is usually in months or no more than 12 months. So you can do your projection within 12 months, within 6 months. That's cash flow. Now, a cash flow estimates the money you expect to flow into and out of your business, including all your revenues and expenses. Mr. Laika stated it yesterday. You must project it. But you see, depending on the volume, you may do it weekly, you may do it monthly, it depends. Now, why is cash flow important? I need us to listen to this. Why is cash flow important? So, for you that have multiple streams of cash flow, not somebody that has one, even for those that have one, this is also important. Why is cash flow projection important? It is important because it gives you insight into the nature of the overlapping possible inflow. Permit me to explain. It gives you an insight into the nature of the overlapping inflow. So if you earn salary, your salary comes at a specific date, that's an inflow. Maybe the money from what you are selling or other inflows come at a specific time. So you know that maybe 2 days, 3 days, 4 days, 5 days, 1 week gap, that is when money comes in. That is what cash flow projection does for you. And because you know that as this money is coming in, it is meant to cater to A and B that you have documented. So people who own shops, maybe you have one shop, there is a particular product line that gives you more money. It seems as if that is your cash cow. You know when it comes in, and there are some products that they're on the shelf for too long a time, only when somebody buys them. You need to keep record. There's what called store administration, is a course. If you study the kind of course I study, store management and taking stock is a course, a 4-unit course you do to help you keep stock of your goods. But you know, we have a people who will tell you that they are keeping everything in their head, and that is why some of them won't have headache. So cash flow is important because it gives you insight into the overlapping inflow that you're expecting. So just imagine you have 4, 5, 6, 7 streams of cash flow. It's not stream of income. It is the differential after taking out the incidental expenses that will constitute income. And that is why when Mr. Salami was talking, when the taxman comes, he targets your revenue because that is what he's seeing. But if you can prove with documents what you have spent for, he taxes your income. And that is why record keeping is important. Allow me to say so. That's number one. Number two, it helps you to know the timing of each flow and the impact such timing has on your liquidity. It helps you to know the timing of each inflow and the impact such timing has on your liquidity. So, there is a bank in Nigeria that pays its staff twice in a month. They pay them a percentage at the second week of a month, and they pay them a certain percentage at the fourth week of a month. Both are inflows, but they come at different times. Or you sell a particular product and there's a particular time that you have known that this money comes in. So it helps you to know the timing and helps you to know the impact of that timing on your liquidity. Yes, many businesses do not pay attention to these things, and so they have a problem. Monies are coming in because of zero record keeping. That is when somebody will come and tell them that they swallowed shovel. Somebody will say swallowed caterpillar. Then you want to go and touch business money to remove the shovel that you know nothing about. No. Now, truth of the matter is this. Because many people don't keep records, they now want to cut corners when the taxman comes, and the taxman is doing his job as constituted by law. Number three importance is that it also helps you to manage your debtors and creditors. Like I tell people, you cannot, without proper records, just be availing credit to everybody. Even you as a business, do you get suppliers credit by way of people giving you goods to sell, then you give them their money back after you have sold? But you cannot, without proper record, just give people money. No, it doesn't work that way. So these three importance is why you need to keep your record, particularly for your cash flow. Now, if you do this, you will discover the next thing you will find out is that you will begin to manage your resources better. But again, be watchful. People will tell you that you are a stingy person because your eye is now more on your income, not on your revenue. Income is not revenue. So you must pay close attention to your bottom line, which is your revenue. Sales can be good, revenue can be good, but if you don't consider what you do to make you make that sales, which is the expenses, there will be a major problem. So there are some things you need to know. 7 things you need to know, and I would like somebody to type it in the chat room so that others who may watch later can read. Number one, your monthly salary is not an income. Your monthly salary is not an income. Number two, your sales is not an income. Your sales is not an income. Number three, your school fees received for those that own schools is not an income. Number four, your consultancy fee for those people to consultancy is not an income. Number five, your hospital bill received for those that run hospitals is not an income. Your daily settlement from an item is not an income. Your rent received is not an income. Now, the truth of the matter is these things I've mentioned, many people have counted it as streams of income. It is not streams of income, or they are not streams of income, they are streams of cash flow, because some expenses were incurred for that inflow to come in. So permit me to say, somebody that sells, let's use small chops for instance, and the person sells a pack of small chops, let's say 1.5, and the person supplies 10, that's 15, supplies 20, that's 30, let's say supplies 300, that's 450,000. He cannot say, or she cannot say, that 450,000 is income. It is revenue, because it costs the person to put that down. So when you do not keep record, that is when you will mistake your income, your revenue for income. Now, for those who also cook, some of the things they buy in bulk, they don't use it for one services. They can, for instance, sugar. You buy a bag of sugar, you use it for several production. So can you miniaturize? Can you break it down into units? Because your income is the bottom line, not your revenue. And that is why you see that somebody has revenue but still posting loss, like I gave an example. Therefore, if you must ensure that your business, no matter how small, does well, pay attention to your income, because people will be seeing revenue coming in, but because you know you are keeping your record, you will know that you are not making money. And this is where the problem is. For those that have shops, that have sales girls, sales boys, the sales people see your revenue, so they think you make money, and they'll be wondering, why is madam not paying us this month and we are selling? There's a difference between sales or revenue and income. But you are looking at, by the time I take out incidental, take out my rent, take out cost of advertisement, take out light, what is left? And you pay their salaries. You, the business owner, you don't even have what you fall back on. And of course, you need to go back and replenish. Pay attention to your income. Whether you're a salary earner, you have a side hustle, what does it cost you to ensure that that value is delivered? You must cost it, because there is a money consideration tied to the value. Very important. So we have established that these 7 things are not income. So what is now income? You now have to keep that record that will make sure you deduct. Unfortunately, many of us, we buy groundnut, we say we don't know where to take the money from. We buy the charge card, you don't know where to take the money from. And at the end of the day, you say, I'm not even making anything. Keep your record. Let's even help you to do the calculation. It's simple, plus or minus. Now, the big question is this, because my time is just running. Now, the big question is this, and I want us to write the question in the chat room. How do you create another cash flow stream using existing revenue? That's question number 1. Write it. I want somebody to type it for us. How do you create another cash flow stream using existing revenue? I want to see it in the chat room. How do you create another cash flow stream using existing revenue? How do you create another cash flow stream using existing revenue? Because truth is, if you do not keep records, it will be difficult for you to want to create another. Some people say, I want to have another stream of income. How do you create another stream of income when you don't even know what you currently earn? When you don't even keep record? The second question is, how do you create another stream of income from an existing cash flow, either by increase in revenue? How do you create another stream of income from an existing cash flow, either by increase in the revenue? So I give an example. You teach in a school, the school pays you salary, but the school does not allow you to do lesson in school, but the parents of that your student wants you to do lesson for them. Now it is still the same capacity you have in your head, the same books you already have. So while earning salary as a teacher in school, you do extra lesson. Most often than not, you don't need additional costs to create, because it's still the same textbook you will use. It's still the same textbook you will use. That is a critical way of creating another stream of income from an existing revenue. Or that's example number one. Example number two. Oh, thank God. Somebody said, they say I have additional 10 minutes. Oh my God. Thank you so much. Even that 10 minutes gone, Koto, but I'll try. So another example is this. You earn salary, let's say 200,000 naira, and it comes in a stream of inflow as we have established. By the time you do your net analysis, maybe that 200k, your income, boya 70,000 or 60,000, and you want to save it. It's good to save it, but I usually ask people, how can you save money that you are not safe? Putting money in a bank account, savings account, is not savings. You need to put the money somewhere that is far away from you, that you can have access to when you need it. So you now decide to buy money market, invest in money market or bond, or bond or shares. From that revenue, you have been able to save some money, and that income, though little, because you are not doing anything physical, that income comes in on a regular basis, gradually. But you see, the problem with this, it is because we have failed in the fundamental of not keeping records. Many of us, if we do keep records, we will discover that many of us have money enough, but we don't know how to keep records because we think that we are not living the lifestyle that we want. So, like I said, I don't know if the 4 legs of the table are gone, because I remember I broke 1 or 2. Secondly, you work in an office, you earn a salary, and somehow your salary comes in regularly, and you want to have bulk money to do something in future, so you are part of those that contribute, do a adache. Now, there is nothing bad in adache in itself, but it is bad, and I'll tell you why it is bad. From the financial point of view, it is bad. If 10 of us decide to give 100,000, that's 1 million at every month, one person will pick. If you are the 10th person to pick the 1 million, do you know the value of what 1 million could do in the first month? It's not the same value of 1 million, what you can do in the 10th month. So the TVOM, time value of money, have been lost by the 10th person that the first person has gained. And that's why I've never done adashi. Never. Instead of that, put it in an escrow account. There are mutual funds, there are valid money market investment that you can put. Somebody, I was talking to a person recently, said, no, you will not buy shares of the bank, you rather buy land. I said, how much do you even have that you say you buy land, you not buy shares? This person has barely 80K, and you say you won't buy shares. Go and look for the land of 80K to buy. Where will that be? When, if you buy shares now, as low as the price is, the truth of the matter is, for the life of that entity, be a bank or a company, you keep on getting your dividend. I bought shares 2004, 2005, 2006. Till tomorrow, I still get dividend from those companies because of money I invested there. Now, those shares, those monies could have bought me a land there. So you need to rethink it. So for me, what adashi that we do does is to help some people to build a saving culture so that you have bulk money to do one thing. But the question is, if that thing cost ₦1 million in January, will it cost ₦1 million in October because you have lost value of money? What's the inflation rate today? It's probably 650. That's left, it has reduced to 650. So the truth of the matter is, there are interest yielding that can, where you can put your money. So the question is, if you want to use adashi to learn how to save, how long do you want to keep learning it? That's the question for me. That's the question. Somebody say, I will always collect first. What guarantees you that? So what if everybody thinks they want to collect first, and all of you in that group always want to collect first? See the challenge. Please, let's learn. The truth of the matter is, that is why we are doing leverage, because I said on the first day, leverage on leverage to create a leverage for your business, so that if you, in 90 days from now, you will not be the loser for not leveraging on leverage to give your business a leverage. The truth of the matter is this: many people are not disciplined or do not want to be disciplined with record keeping. I tell people, do not let somebody's lack of planning become a financial emergency for you. Don't let somebody's lack of planning become a financial emergency for you. If you plan, yes, emergencies will come, but even an emergency is part of your planning. You budget for it. And that's why I have things like insurance. Now, let's move on. Let's attempt to answer those questions. So, how do you create another cash flow stream using existing revenue? How do you create another stream of income using existing cash flow? Either by increasing revenue. Now, you can tell yourself, be a part of cooperative. Cooperatives give a marginal interest, and even if they give you loan, the interest is lower. But the problem is this: most people that collect cooperative loan do not invest it. They use it on things that are expenditure. And I give you an example. Somebody very close to me some years ago said she wanted to take ₦2 million loan from a cooperative in the office. She wants to increase her stock in the shop, and she collected the ₦2 million. They gave her. She used ₦1 million to buy things for herself. She says she's the one that's been working. So let her use ₦1 million to treat herself. Then she used ₦1 million to stock the shop. And I ask her, but they will be deducting the money based on the ₦2 million that you got, not on the ₦1 million invested. And she was shocked. Of course, she didn't let me know until I found out. So the question is this: if you keep record very well, you will discover that you are wasting some monies that you shouldn't waste. That's the essence, because many of us are wasting money that should have used to start a business. There are businesses, particularly multi-level marketing businesses, that you can start with 40K, 50K, 25K. That 25K, if you keep record, you have it. But because you don't keep record, you think it's plenty of money. And that is why I say there's a difference between multiple streams of cash flow and multiple streams of income. They are two different things. I'm part of a cooperative. Now, if this thing is touching you, I'm sure you know where you have goofed and when you are telling yourself, it's not a Holy Spirit matter. You need to execute, which is what we mentioned the first day. Take the step to begin to do the right things because the knowledge you know now should give you an edge. And that's what we talked about knowledge. An edge is delivery or the learning. Now, whatever you do, ensure that you do not fall below a minimum level of cash flow. Whatever you do not fall below the minimum level of cash flow. Some people, if they are broke, it's because they have 5 million in their account. They are broke. If they have 5 million, they are broke. And once they get to that level, they cannot be broker than 5 million. Some people is 1 million. Some people is 500,000. Some people is 100,000. Some people is 50K. So which level is your minimum level of cash flow? Ask yourself. Which level is your minimum level of cash flow? Because the truth of the matter is you must ensure while we have minimum level of cash flow, there's what we call financial orgasm. There is what we call financial orgasm. And financial orgasm means there's a level of performance you get to, you will be productive. You must build up to that level. You must build your financial orgasm. And that's why people are audacious to take something because they have built their financial orgasm to a level and they act just the way biologically, once you achieve orgasm, it's because something has taken place. Now, but because the foundation has not been well taken care of, record keeping, the minutest record, please keep it. You buy Tom, keep the record, sir. People will call you names, no problem, but you are responsible for your own financial El Dorado. You are responsible for it. It's not somebody else's business. It is your business, your personal business to ensure that you get to that level. Now, if you do not do that, you will think everything around you is against you. So there are 7 streams that you can earn from. As I mentioned, you write it. Somebody should help me type it. Number 1, there's what we call earned income. Types of income streams, earned income. Number 2, your profit income. Number 3, your interest income. Number 4, your dividend income. Number 4, your rental income. Number 5, your capital gains income. And number 7, your royalty income. I mentioned it again. Number 1, your earned income. Number 2, your profit income. Number 3, your interest income. Number 4, your dividend income. Number 5, your rental income. Number 6, your capital gains income. And number 7, your royalty income. There are some structures you have built that for your life, the money should be coming in. You don't, in fact, something you just like, for instance, dividend now, you don't need to speak in tongues before your dividend enter because of what you've done previously. And it's important that you do that. Now, here's the challenge with many of us. Many of us businesses, our challenge is we don't know how to price or to charge. That's the challenge with some businesses. The truth of the matter is we even give excuse that if you don't do it, somebody else will do it lower or cheaper. Let the person go. Let the person go. Whoever that person is, let the person go. If you accept less than you are worth, you will get paid less than you accepted. Yes. Recently, one of my coaches in Jos, this is a recent transaction, very recent, 1 week, 2 weeks ago. She came across a client, somebody showed interest in what she was doing, and the person said she wants to engage her as a brand consultant, and she reached out to me that how will she build them? I And after that, she's planning to charge them 150. I say 150, 150,000. I don't understand. And this client is in Abuja. This person has been following, and I say charge them 500,000. She said, how will you use the mouth to say it? I said the same mouth you are using to talk to me is the same mouth you used to say it. She now said, coach, is it not too much? I said charge them 500k. Lo and behold and lo, she crystallized the transaction and she charged them 550,000. Ladies and gentlemen, long story cut short, she got the alert and she couldn't believe it that she charged and they paid. I say, see, people can perceive value from a distance. People pay for value. They can smell it from a distance. And it is your responsibility to increase your functional value per time. I said that yesterday. Your functional value quotient must always be high. It must always be so that from a distance people can be attracted to it and they will pay. She didn't speak in tongues though, because she took the execution to the field. Because you must remain relevant in the marketplace. Marketplace is a turbulent place, and what makes you remain there is the value proposition you bring to the table. So ask yourself, what value proposition are you bringing for you to increase your money, your inflow? That's the simple truth. That's the simple truth. So whatever you do, ensure that you do 7 things that can pay you. And everybody on this call or those that will eventually listen to this, you can make money from 7 different ways for whatever you know. Whether you sell a product, you sell a service, you are into coaching, whatever. There are 7 ways you can earn from. Whatever you know, you can train somebody to make money from it. You can train somebody. You can go into training. Whatever you know, you can teach somebody. You can coach somebody. You can mentor somebody. You can consult. You can facilitate. You can do research. You can train. You can teach. You can coach. You can mentor. You can consult. You can facilitate. And you can do research. I take it for the last time for those who may want to put it in the chat room. You can train. You can teach. You can coach. You can mentor. You can consult. You can facilitate. And you can do research. The truth of the matter is, if you earn from this 17, there is no way you will be ever broke. In the sense of the word broke. You will never be broke. Because there is something that brings money to the table. And that's why I feel some people immediately lost their job, a salary job. They will just look like a shadow of their self. Or people retire. Somebody worked in an organization, retired, and went to open shago, open shop. And this person, I'm like, I don't get it. What happens to the experience that you can convert to value? Convert your experience to value. People will pay, sir. Convert your experience to value. People will pay. Convert your experience to value. People will pay. But the question is, many of us, like, if I do it now, will they pay? Will they not pay? Okay, let me just try. The problem most people have is they think that because you just started, people should now be flocking you. No, people are trying to check you out. They're trying to see your resilience. They're trying to see your consistency. They're trying to see any experience you have can be converted to value and people will pay it, sir. What are you telling me? You see, and that is why you need to go back and spend a lot of times in knowledge, in skill development. Spend a lot of time in skill and knowledge development. Because if you do not do that, the world is not structured to favor you. You create what will be in your own favor. The world is not structured to favor you. You create what will be in your own favor. And that is why you start up a business, not because of they say we should just do it or I have passion. It's my passion. Anything they pay me, really? Anything they pay you? Oh, really? I saw a 10-liter parfait and somebody was selling to 128,000. The person's head is not bigger than yours. And if it is by size of head, your head is bigger than the person's head. See, we are here to make money because it is part of the system of the world. Part of the system of the world is to make money. And money is a defense. It's in the Bible. Lack of it is an offense. You cannot go and pay school fees with anointing. Neither can you pay school fees with eloquent speaking. It is when your eloquent speaking is valued that it will be paid for. That's just the truth. So when your eloquent speaking is valued, that will be paid for. So increase your value proposition by what you deliver. Because if you do not, it will amount to a situation whereby you have a problem. As I round up, four things that you should take note of. Now, don't forget to capture all the cost of equipment needed in your business. Many of us we trivialize cost of equipment. It's too small now. I will just bear that one. Who is bearing it? What expense head? Because like Salamo says, they we have capex and we have opex. Capture everything detailed because the business has a life of its own. Every cost element, be it fixed or variable, should be well captured. Number three, every possible inflow of money to your business must be considered and projected as well. If you don't do it, it's a problem. It's a problem. Now, there are three things you must consider if you want to remain in business. One, what is your money making model? How do you make money? Because whether it is cash flow or income stream or cash flow stream, what is your money making model? What is you need to understand where money comes into your business and don't joke with it because that is where gives you the life of the business. So what is your money making model? Number two, how does your team members contribute to your money making model? Team members now may not be your staff, they may be your staff, they may even be people you work with in a circle. How do they contribute to that money making model? And the last thing is, does everyone in your team or your circle know the answer to the first two questions? If they don't know, please fire them. That is if you have sufficiently taught them. But if you don't teach and you want to fire them, it is you that we should fire. Yes. The truth of the matter is, we can make more money if we only keep proper record. And as you keep proper record, you will now know that you really do not have a bottom line. And if you don't have a bottom line, it goes back to that question: how do you create more cash flow stream from what you currently earn? And if you do that, I guarantee you that you will begin to see things taking shape. Yes, these things are not just happenstance. You may need to be coached, you may need to be mentored, you may need to become someone need to consult for you. But this should be now a springboard to letting that happen for your business. Thank you very much for listening. I tried not to exhaust the time when I was doing 10 minutes extra. Thank you very much.
If you're on this platform, I'd like you to just type in value, 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 value all over the comment section.
Value, value.
Value, value,
Wow.
value. Coach Day
So much
picked the
value.
table, broke the legs, and converted them to wood for
Firewood.
cooking the session of the night.
I
And that was
tell you.
amazing. Wow. Thank
Wow.
you so much, sir. This is
Ooh.
amazing. Thank you
Mhm.
for entirely converting our time on this call to a valuable moment. And this is definitely going to be something that we would live to remember for a long while. Thank you all for also responding. I'm sure you're not just typing value, but you also know that this is indeed something valuable to keep up to. Now, if you're on this call and you have not heard about Claire Brooks Cooperative, then you are not in tune with what Coach Iden was saying today. Leave Adashi and transmit to
Join
cooperatives.
cooperative. Yes.
I was going to
Yes.
expose you a bit, Fuki, but let me just keep that private because
Let's leave it at the table was broken,
let's
sir.
leave it there, right? But a lot of persons seem to have been caught in that web of
Yeah.
Adashi and its features and all of the rest. But right now you're getting to learn that hey, it's not just about keeping money for a long while.
Mhm.
It's the turnover that comes on that same money that you have saved up. A lot to learn from this session, and I'm sure if we were to if you were to do a recap right now, we'll be saying a lot of things. Fuki, are there a few points you'd want to remind us of, especially on some of the things that Coach Iden had mentioned?
Okay. Numerous few points I would have
Yeah,
loved to share. But basically, some of the things he started to list out when he said, "Oh, 7 things you need to know, 3 things you need to know." The first 7 things you need to know is, first of all, your monthly salary is not an income. Wow, just
yeah,
wow. Your
all of a
sales
sudden.
is not an income. Woo! Your school fees received is not an income. Your consultancy fee received is not an income. Your daily settlement from an item is not an income. Your rent received is not an income. And then the two major questions he had asked: how do you create another cash flow stream using existing revenue? That's where the cooperative comes in. We have a cooperative at New Covenant Church called the Claire Brooks Cooperative. Dr. Idenyi spoke about the importance of being part of a cooperative. So leave Adashe, just leave
Yeah,
it and
finally.
join our cooperative. It will do you a whole lot of good if you do. Um, and then he mentioned something important when he spoke about the cooperative. He said, when people join cooperatives and take loans, which is one of the advantages of being part of a cooperative, when they take loans, they use it for expenditure.
Yeah,
He said
yeah,
that is not right. When you take loans from cooperatives, invest it into something. Don't be like the sister who spent 1 million naira for herself to ball, to chill, and then the other million for the business. Ensure that you invest, because when you're paying up, you pay up for everything, including what you had used up for
yeah,
yourself.
yeah,
He also spoke about 7 streams of income. He spoke about the earned income, profit income, interest income, dividend income, rental income, capital based income, and royalty income. We know leverage to be a platform where it's almost like you're in school. Dr. Kola is always insistent on building our knowledge consistently and growing. Some of us may have to go back and study some of the things that Coach Ideni has spoken about, so
yeah,
that we have an in-depth knowledge that will help us to propel and move our business towards growth. He spoke about 3 things to consider when you want to make money. First of all, what is your money making model? Number
yeah,
two, how do your team members contribute to your money making model? And number three, does everyone in your team know number one? I had to find myself. I was asking myself, okay, what is the money making model for the company which I work in? I'm like,
yeah,
okay, I have to know this so that I don't get fired. that's, that's by the way. So he specifically mentioned that your team members have to know your money making model, because that's
yeah,
how the organization will grow and move forward. So much value. Thank you so much, Coach Day. Sometimes it
yeah.
feels like someone should just open our brains and put everything in it and close it, so that we are able to make good use of all that we have learned. We are so
Really,
grateful, sir.
really.
It's been an
Um,
amazing time of learning.
Amazing. Thank you for that very wonderful recap. Someone is saying I just graduated from Harvard University. Well,
I
I
tell you.
congratulate you on that. All right. We have a lot to cover tonight, so we're going to move with the speed of light. But before we move on to the next session, I'd like to just remind us again that Leverage tries as much as possible to give people the opportunity to showcase what they do while they are partnering with us. And we want to commend people who have done that over the years, and just to also make mention of a few today, so that in case you have need of their services, you can also plunge in and take advantage of that. If I can have that flyer up, I would appreciate it. Rex Swift University is one tech company that is doing great things in terms of educating people rightly in the tech space. And it will be good if you can plunge into their cohort offers, their mentorship and internship sessions, which you can learn a lot on the different offers that they have in terms of web development, in terms of product management, in all of the offers. Think anything tech, and you have them at your beck and call. It is our plea on this very amazing session that you indeed patronize Rex Swift University, Rex Swift Versity. Yeah, let me not mix that up. Rex Versity. Yeah, that's the actual name. Then you can just check them up on their website, versity.rexswift.org, and you will see a lot of the offers that they have. Please join in and you'd have a great time there. All right. While we are still trying to take in all that we've heard tonight from Dr. Dain, who has amazingly done justice to the subject matter. I was just saying to someone a few seconds ago that it's very relatable, things that people can work with to transform their lives and their businesses. And I think that's one of my take home. You need to revisit the stream and then listen to it over and over again. All right,
Yes.
without further ado, the very first day we had Dr. Kola Ojo start with a bomb, and he just blew the whole space up. And everybody was like, wait, we're not ready for this. We knew we were coming for leverage, but we really were not ready for this. And we'll be having him join us this evening again. Without further ado, you know the profile already. With a standing ovation, I mean, literally stand up wherever you are. You can show that in the comment section, the excitement, the energy. Receive with us tonight for the second time, Dr. Kola Ojo. You're very much welcome, sir.
Thank you very much, Hebel and Fuki. Amazing, amazing session there from
Yes,
Coach
sir.
Udeni. I mean, I, I want to encourage I want to go back to that session to listen to it again and again.
Absolutely.
You know, it's absolutely amazing. Some of the things he had said there, you just have to go back, listen to it again and again. Thank you very much, Coach Udeni, for always bringing value to the table. And you see, this is why we bring people like him to leverage, because they bring value, always bringing value to the table. Okay, always bringing value to the table. And I know, I know that he is an amazing, amazing person who practices the things that he teaches. He doesn't just come here to tell us things, but these are things that he is really doing for himself, and he teaches all over the world. Thank you, Coach Day, for that session. Value is the language of exchange. Today, I'm going to continue from where I stopped yesterday. Day before yesterday. Value is the language of exchange. Value is the language of exchange. We create value, and money is the compensation for value creation and management. That's very, very key. And seeing the things he shared tonight, it just went deep into so many things that one would like to talk about today. With you. And I hope you're ready. Get your writing materials, set, and all the parts. And if you want to record, that's going to be great for you. All right, good. So let's get ready. Very, very important. Now, if you remember, I told you that value is the estimation of worth and usefulness. Value is the estimation of worth and usefulness. Very, very important. Value is the estimation of worth and usefulness. So people don't buy what people don't value. You simply are saying people don't buy what people cannot find worth or usefulness for. So people will buy only those things that are, of worth. All right, things that are useful to them. So value is the language of exchange. The language of exchange is value. People will only pay for what they perceive is valuable. And so I told you in my first session that we don't look for money. You don't pray for money like many people do, looking for money. No, we create value, and money is a compensation for value creation and management. So we get paid for bringing value to the marketplace. People don't pay you for what is worthless. People pay you for what is valuable. And I told you that there are two types of value. We have the statutory value. You know, time is statutory value, it's available to everybody. Competence is statutory value. People are good in one thing or the other. Manpower, production, these are statutory value. But what differentiates statutory value from functional value is based on the quality of the person using the statutory product. So people will pay extra, like what Coach Undeyi talked about, the lady that was going to charge 150, but he told her to charge 500,000, and she eventually charged 550, and she was paid 550,000 naira, is because people can perceive value from a distance. People can see worth and usefulness. So value is the language of return. People will always give you a return based on the value you have created. Now, we don't get paid. Listen, this is very carefully. We don't get paid for time. We get paid for value. Albert Einstein says, strive not to be a success, but rather to be of value. You see, strive not to be a success, but rather to be of value. So to have more, you have to become more. So value is important. One of the reasons why people don't do well in business is because their business is not valuable. They are bringing a solution, they are bringing a problem, they are meeting a need, but it is not valuable to people. It's not valuable. That's why they price it the way they price it. There are people that you will sit with and you'll be willing to pay so much money to be in the same room with them because of value. So true value isn't measured by what you receive, but by who you become. True value isn't measured by what you receive, but by who you become. Why? Because value is the language of exchange. So smart people appreciate success. All right. Now you can sit in a place and you see things happening. Smart people appreciate success, but much more, they appreciate the story behind the success. Why? Because becoming is achieved by three things. Let me show you three things that will help you become. Number one is value recognition. Value recognition is your ability to recognize valuable things that will help you become. Don't forget, true value in life isn't measured by what you receive, but by who you become. So people pay for the value that you are. You will retain your job because you keep bringing value to the table. So you are not being paid for your time. You are being paid for the value you bring to your organization. Most times when people go for work, people think that they are being paid for their time. Maybe except for, sorry to say, for people in certain public sector in Nigeria, they get paid for showing up. No, nobody pay you for showing up in any serious business. People pay you for the value that you bring to the table. When you lose value, you lose money. So instead of going for money, go for value. Why? Because when value is no longer perceived, that's when people are sacked. You can't sack a valuable person. You can't sack somebody bringing value to the table. You only sack somebody that you have a perception. So that's why I told you the first day that value is the pillar of perception. Value drives perception. People that are, so the people they fire in an organization are people that they no longer value, no matter how much. If you remember the story of Jacob and Laban couldn't fire him. He asked him to name his price. So you can't lose your job because of the value you bring to the table. So don't mistake it. People don't pay you for time. People pay you for value. Listen, the time you spend is the perceived evaluation of your value. The payment you received, rather, is the perceived evaluation of your value. So the first thing in becoming, all right, again, true value isn't measured by what you receive. True value is not measured by what you receive. True value is measured by who you are. Because sometimes what you receive may not be a true estimation of your value. But when people see the value you bring to the table, they pay you higher. When people see the value from your business, people pay you higher. When people bring, like someone who asked the question about school, when people see the kind of people that come out of your school, they will bring their children to your school. People look for value wherever they can find it. So the first thing to becoming a person of value is value recognition. Value recognition. Now, under value recognition, what are the things that are valuable? All right, let me give you quickly, maybe about 4 or 5 things under value recognition. One is time. All right, time is more than money. You must place premium on time more than money. So when time meets money, you choose time, because with time you can make money. In time you make money. Second is knowledge. All right. Second is knowledge. These are valuable things that you must recognize. Is knowledge. To be valuable, you need the right kind of knowledge. Some of you are hearing tonight the difference between revenue and income. And you're like, wow, so I'm not even making money, because most people don't even know the difference between working capital, which is what Coach Ndeng is saying. Working capital. What's your working capital? What's the wages? What are all the stuff, minus what you are making? So first is time. Second is knowledge. Third is experience. All right. Third is experience. If you will change, everything will change for you. Experience will give you that. So instead of wasting time complaining, when we go for experience, all right, when you go for experimentation, it changes everything. Fourth is relationship. All right. So these are things that are valuable. These 4 things will help you become. There are so many of them, but these 4 things are to give you pointers into things that you focus your attention on. Number 1, time. 2, knowledge. 3, experience. 4, relationship. Now, let me talk a little bit about experience. Instead of saying you don't have a job and you don't know what to do, join yourself to an organization that is doing what you would like to become. Intern for them. Go there even if it's 1 day a week. Why? Because you get first-hand experience. What I've observed in my years of doing business is, no matter how good your business plan may be on paper, when you get to the field, it's usually different. There are so many things that are different on the field versus what you have put on your books. So you've got to know that. All right. Number 5 is urgency. All right. Number 5 is urgency. Number 1, again, time. 2, knowledge. 3, experience. 4, relationship. 5, urgency. You have to value. These are valuable things. Without the sense of urgency, desire loses its value. Without the sense of urgency, desire loses its value. So you need to have that sense of urgency. What you need to do, do now. What is important to do, do now. Don't procrastinate, do it now. These are things that will help you become. So number 1 is value recognition. Number 2 is association and process. All right, association and process, where you where you want to know the story that is behind every success so that you can see how to replicate them. And number 3 is experimentation. Experimentation is where you now start putting knowledge to practice so that it can become part of your life. I will say that again. Experimentation is when you start putting knowledge to practice into practice so that it can become part of your life. So 3 things that will help you become. All right. Again, don't forget, true value in life isn't measured by what you receive, but by who you become. And in becoming, I've given you pointers, into 3 major areas. Number 1 is value recognition. Number 2 is association and process. And number 3 is experimentation. Many people, like, they've heard so many things tonight from the sessions and from the first day of leverage, but they have not been able to put them into practice. You become one with knowledge when you put it into practice. Knowledge that is not converted into a habit will not be beneficial to you. So you need to start experimenting some things so that they can become part of your life. Are we together now? So you don't get paid for time. Don't mix it up. You get paid based on the passive value you bring on the table. You graduate from school, you approach a business, and you tell them, look, I can work for you. Then they ask you to bring your certificate. Your certificate ought to be the evidence of value, knowledge, and skills that you have acquired, not just a paper. Are we together? Your certificate ought to be an evidence of value. An evidence of value that you have acquired after 4 years or 5 years or 6 years or being under a training, a formal training. So certificate is an evidence of value. So when you go to the business and you say, look, I want to be employed, then they ask you, what do you have? How do we know that you know what you are talking about? Then you will show them your certificate. Your certificate that you are presented is an evidence of value, is an evidence of knowledge, is an evidence of skills that you have acquired, that you have been certified by another expert who have taught you how to do what you want to now do for them. So interviews are meant to test your claim of value. Ooh, did you get that? Interviews are meant to test your claim of value. You don't need to fidget in the interview room. Why? Because it is a test of your value. It's a test of skill. It's a test of knowledge. It's a test of, the years under an expert to learn. So people don't get paid for time. People get paid for the perceived value that they bring. So perception is very important. And so for you as a business person, it is not enough to take a business or have a business. You must be concerned about value communication, which is very important. Value communication is important. You see, we will not know you have value or you carry value until you start communicating value. And this is why I have a lot of challenge with so many people, because they don't know what to do with their social media. You have a lot of following on your social media page. Some people 10,000, some people 5,000, some people 3,000, some people 15, 20,000 on that, following. And you don't know how to communicate value. Your social media page is an example of a place where value can be communicated. So don't just post things on your page. Don't just put things there. Don't let it be a place where you just post your new shoe, new shirt, new car, your new phone. No, it ought to be a place. It can be a place where you communicate value. And people there, you see, because value attracts value. You see how people will start reaching out to you. People will start talking to you because value needs to be communicated for it to be seen. Value is intangible but can be perceived. Value can be seen. So when you do that, people can now begin to see what you carry, those things that the knowledge you've acquired. That's why you cannot tell anybody that you are a medical doctor. The first thing they want to see, they will not tell you to inject them or prescribe a medicine. They will ask you to show them the certificate. So you need to start communicating value around your business. You need to start communicating value. One of the ways you can do that is to start reeling out intelligent articles around your business, around what you do. Start reeling it out. Start putting it on your page. Start talking about it. Start, communicating it everywhere. Why? And the more you do that, the more you see people that understand value will start coming to you. Why? It takes a person of value to recognize another person of value. You don't even need to be begging people to, come to you and all of that. No, you need to have a value communication strategy. All right? A value communication strategy around your business that will communicate the functional value of what you are selling in the market, which is very, very important. Now, you do website, other people do website. What is the functional value of your website? Okay? Now, because of who you have become, people will pay you more. Because of what you are doing differently, people will pay you more. Because of the attention you put around it, people will pay you more. Because of the excellence. You see, these are things that are communicating different things to different people. It's a perception game. But you see, don't hang your business only on perception, because when people come for the real deal and they don't find it, they'll be disappointed. So, the greatest quest of successful people is to be more valuable. People price valuables differently. The greatest quest of successful people is to be more valuable. When you want more money, but you don't want to be more valuable, you will be perceived as a fraud. Let me say it again. When you want more money, but you don't want to increase your value, people will see you as a fraud. Eventually, that's what they will perceive you as. So, more money ought to be more value. If you have more value, you will make more money. Now, it is not automatic, because you can have knowledge, you can know what to do, you can have wisdom, you can have talent, you can be skillful, but you don't know how to do value communication. People will not know what you can do. So that's why many people are saying, well, but I have so degree, I have so talent, I've learned under so and so person, but you are not communicating your value out there, so people don't know what you have, what you can do, what you can offer. That's why I told you value communication is very important. Every business must be very, very intentional in value communication. And value communication value communication is not, listen, there is what we call the KLT factor: know, like, and trust. All right, KLT: know, like, trust. Sometimes you are too aggressive in the marketplace because what you want is to just sell. All you are doing is everything is sell, everything is sell. You want to sell, you want to sell. So everything people are seeing around you is that you want to sell. You are just a seller. They don't see anything about you more than selling. Why? Because there is no other value additions. There are no functional value around what you do. So anytime you post is that you want to sell a shoe, or you want to sell a wristwatch, or you want to sell a cup, or you want to sell a face cap, or you want to sell a t-shirt, or you want to sell a phone, or you want to sell a land, or you want to sell a car. But if that is your field, if you're into real estate, you can post an article on real estate. You can post a survey on the impact of real estate in the economy. Now, people see you not only as somebody that is into real estate, but somebody that can teach real estate. Did you see that now? Somebody that they can consult when it comes to real estate, or somebody that can anchor a session or a conference or a training. So you see all those things that Coach there you talk about. You cannot see the value chain around just one small thing can become a value chain. Why? Because you are not just focused on that. Also, you have increased your KLT factor, know, like, and trust. People trust you, they can buy because of what you are talking about. For example, if you are into education, you have a school, you have a training, outfit or something, don't just talk about, we have a registration is now open, apply within. Everybody, I mean, why should I buy what you're talking about? There are other places there. No, but you see, on Monday, you shared a post on the importance of education in the 21st century. On Tuesday, or maybe twice a week, you talk about the Geneva Convention or UNESCO, outcome on education summit or something. You are increasing your value perception. People are knowing you, they like you, they trust you. You share a post, you see the likes, you see the thumbs up, you see the emoticons all around, thumbs up, this one, that one. People are liking you. They're even sharing your post. They share the post to somebody who shared the post to another person. Your post is appearing in different places without even marketing, without doing anything. You're just putting it there. The day you eventually say you want to hold a conference, you will see the turnout of people. Why? Because they've known you, they like you, they trust you. Value is being communicated, not just built up. So there are people that you are saying, I can do this, I can do this, I can do this, and you are frustrated. It's like you are bottling up so many things. It's that you are not communicating the value in a way that is creating a perception of value. So the greatest quest of successful people is to be more valuable. People price valuables differently. Okay, so what should be your quest? Number one, value creation. Value creation. Okay, these are sets of activities that you will bring together, independent activities that add value to you, add value to your customer, add value to your product, add value to your services. Are you there? So there are things, independent activities, value creation, independent activities that will add value to you, add value to your customers, add value to your product, add value to your services. 2, value communication. I talked about that. So you want to do value creation. I told you I'm going to talk about these different things. Value creation, all these things put together is what we call value-focused enterprise. Value-focused enterprise. Under value-focused enterprise, you're talking value creation, value communication. What you know how to do, don't just put it there. People will not buy because you are putting it out there. People will buy because you have created value around it. 1, 2, you have also communicated value around it. The way you do it is, so sometimes you don't sell. Selling is your goal, but there is a way you are going around it. You're putting articles, you're putting posts, you are sharing somebody else's article that is in line with what you are doing. You are also sharing your other friends what they are saying about the same thing. The day you roll out something, everybody wants to be there. So value creation. Number 1, value under value-focused enterprise. Okay, let me quickly give you 6 things under that. Number 1 is value creation. Number 2 is value communication. Value communication. When you're communicating that value, I told you this is very important because one of the things I've seen many people suffer is that they don't know how to communicate their value. And so they complain many times and they're saying, well, I don't know what's going on. Value creation, independent activities, things that you will do that will add value to you, add value to your customer, add value to your product, add value to your services. If you're a tailor, if you are into fashion, so people come measure, and people bring their clothes, they want to sew, they want to turn it into something, they give you a style. Don't stop there. What can be value creation for you is to say, look, we can do home delivery. What can be value creation for you is that you can do a text. Thank you for coming to our outfit today. In 3 days' time, you are going to get your ready-made clothes. You can come pick it, or we can deliver it to you with an additional cost. Who doesn't like that? When you get a text message from your tailor. Many people don't like to sew clothes in this climate. Why? Because tailors can make you have high blood pressure. So, value creation, value communication. Number 3, value-centered strategic intent. Value-centered strategic intent. This is where you are now thinking what you want to do in the foreseeable future. What principles will guide your journey in the journey of value creation or value-centered focused enterprise? You want to build a business that has value. You are thinking of value-centered strategic intent. What are those intentions? What are the foreseeable journey for us? All right. Number 4, value proposition. Value proposition is where you are now looking at the market, the value experience from your customers, the offerings, the benefits, alternatives. All right. How is it, in terms with your strategic intent, the things you roll out? Number 5 is value focused operating model. Let everything you do be intentional in communicating how, including your process. So value focused operating model is concerned with the operationalization of the value proposition to achieve the intention or strategic intent of your business. Are we together now? So even the process of doing things, people can associate what you do with excellence. Don't just put any graphics out there in marketing something or communicating something. No, get a very solid graphics design each time even if it's once a week or once a month. Let it be that whatever you are putting there, people associate quality with what you are doing. Value focus operating model. And the last is value creation based on management and execution. Value creation based on management and execution. This is where you are now thinking how you will execute, how you will manage, for maximum delivery. So you are looking at the content of what you give to your customers out there, the content of what you give to the people out there. So value is very important. And so personal value, you will find it will have impact on your business. And that's why I started by saying you need to start increasing in the value of who you are. Increase who you are. To have more, you have to become more. Don't chase money, chase value. Why? Because people don't pay you for time. People pay you for value. You can do some things. There are some things you get paid for 1 month that some people get paid for 10 minutes because of their value. So there's what we call value differentiation. Value differentiation is where what you bring to the table versus what others bring to the table has been equated. A first-class person can go to an interview and a third-class person can go for an interview, And the company will choose a third class person because of value differentiation. So your product, your services, if you're into a consultancy, what is the value differentiation that you're bringing to the table? It makes all the difference. Somebody asked me, why do you keep studying? Why do you keep doing this? Why do you keep doing that? I said, look, because of value differentiation. Value differentiation, it differentiates you from any other thing out there. So you need to go around those 6 key things in creating a value focused enterprise. Number 1, value creation. Number 2, value communication. Number 3, value centered strategic intent. Number 4, value proposition. Number 5, value focused operating model. And then number 6, value creation based on management and execution. So you check the entire 9 yards of these things and you put them out. If you start putting these things out, you will find amazing difference in the way people price you, in the way you sell, because you are not just focused on selling, you are focused on value. So don't focus on selling primarily, focus on value. If you can communicate value well to your market, you will sell. I hope this has helped someone here tonight. Thank you very much. God bless you.
Dr. Kola brings to the table a unique definition of the word value, and you'll be wondering, did I ever know what value meant initially? Thank you so much, sir. Really, really
Thank you so
grateful
much.
for bringing this to us this evening. We'll do a very quick recap of some of the key points that we've learned. Fuki does amazing on those every now and then. So let's quickly just do some quick key points that we should take home. Can we hear that?
Thank you so much, Dr. Kalaoli Ojo. Your sessions are always mind blowing and very insightful. Some of the take homes that I have written down, some of the key insights that I had gotten is first of all, value is the language of exchange. Value is the estimation of worth and usefulness. And then, most importantly, people don't pay you for your time, they pay you for the value that you bring to the table. So, you may want to look back into your business, look back into your work, and know exactly what you have been doing wrong and see how you can add value to what you are doing so that you get growth in that which you have set your hands to do. As a business person, he said, it's very important to be concerned about value communication. You have
Yeah.
to be you have to be very intentional with placing premium importance on value communication. Some of the ways you can communicate your value is through your social media handles, like he had mentioned. Some of us spend hours and hours online just scrolling up, laughing, looking at who said what, and you are leaving money to pass by on the table. If people see you as one who bring value in your field or in your sphere or in your business, your organization, they price your pricing goes up. So they naturally would pay you because you are bringing value to them. Like the example that Coach Idenyi had mentioned and Dr. Kola made reference to, you know, instead of paying you 150,000 naira because you have value and you bring value to the table, they paid her 550,000 naira. That is a very wide difference. And it was because she had value. You can have talent and skill, but you may not be able to communicate value. And because of that, people will not know what you can offer. So yes, I know how to do this, I know how to do that. I'm good with this, I'm good with that. This is my skill, this is my talent. Who knows? Nobody would come to you, patronize your business, or come around you to say, oh, okay, I want to pay for so and so, if if you are not being, if you do not communicate that. And then one of the major things he spoke about is people need to know you, people need to like you, and people need to trust you. So it's not enough for you to sell and say, oh, come and buy my biscuits, or come and buy my shoes, or
Yeah.
come patronize me. They need to know you. They need to know that, oh, I know that if I meet this person can solve my problems. Back to what Coach Idenyi spoke about yesterday. You can solve my problems. You can meet my need. And so they need to know you. They need to like you. They need to trust you. And then he gave us valuable points on value focused enterprise. He said, in creating a value focused enterprise, you need to do certain things. And I'll just read out the highlights. First of all, you need to create value creation. Secondly, value communication. When you create value, you communicate it. Value centered strategic intent, and then value proposition, value focused operating model, as well as value differentiation. And then he left us with a very important quote, or a very important message, to say, do not chase money, chase value. Do not chase money, chase value. The greatest quest for successful people should be to add more value and more value and more value. Thank you very much. Thank you so much, Dr.
Amazing.
Kola. Your question
Yeah,
is
amazing
very
recap there. Thank you so much for bringing all of those points together in one piece. The moment he just talked about value communication, I just blanked out. I'm
Mhm.
like, okay, so many persons have a lot stocked up. You can do a lot of things, but you do not know how to put it out there and talk
Communicate.
to people about it. For some, they have to wait for people to do a good recommendation for them. So that's something to really take home. This evening we would have another dose. Is someone ready for that? Have another dose. Let me
Ooh.
quickly say that if you are battling with scarcity mentality, you would have been checking your data balance by now. Like, this
Ah,
1 gig, this 2 gig. I hope it will finish up tonight. But hey, does that. If you have to add up, top up your
yeah.
data subscription, stay put on the screen, kill that scarcity mentality, and let's dig in on these things very fast enough
Mhm.
so that 2024 can still mean a lot for you in terms of your finances and your value proposition. All right, if you are not too busy, if you are not too engaged, I'd like you to excitedly expect the return of, I call him tonight the man with the figures. Yesterday, he was just reading out a
Yeah.
lot of things
I
comfortably,
saw.
effortlessly, and it was amazing. Tonight we would have him again for the next few minutes to just wrap up with his thoughts in terms of the issues he was addressing yesterday. And I'm sure for every individual, every business owner, you can't wait to have that session. Please receive with us tonight with so much excitement, energy, and zest, Mr. Olayinka Salami as he takes the stage up
You're welcome,
again.
sir.
You're welcome, sir.
Am I loud and clear?
Yes,
Yes,
we can hear you.
you
Welcome,
are.
sir.
We can hear
Okay,
you.
Stay-
great. Good evening, all.
Good evening,
It's a
sir.
pleasure to be here again once more this evening. I hope we're all doing fine. I enjoyed both sessions, and Dr. Kiki was talking about value. Actually, I recall that for the services that we render, I try to tell my colleagues at work that for the same service, one person is paying um, a certain amount, and another person is paying, say, less of that amount by, say, 90%. You can imagine for the same service, someone pays, say, 500,000, and another person wants to pay 50,000. So often I had sat back to look at why we have such instances. It's because the person who pays 500 understands value. Perhaps I have communicated value in depth to the person, and the person who pays 50 would just imagine. I mean, someone told me that no be just to edit paper. He said, "What am I buying? You're not buying anything. That I don't buy anything. I just edit the paper and I reel it out, and I want to charge 500." So you can see value is underestimated. Value in this realm, you know, most people would just think intellectual property is overestimated. So value is actually key and it's important. Yesterday we talked about creating budget. We talked about basically we're looking at best financial practices for business growth, and we looked at financial planning, and we also looked at budgeting. We looked at financial records. I think we stopped at financial records. Today we're going to go a little bit in depth, looking more into financial records and what have you. So, best financial practices, like I said yesterday, if you have a good, there's always a bad. None is existing without the other. So, we'll be looking at accounting records. Basically, like yesterday I mentioned, accounting records for us to understand accounting principles. For some of us who already have an in-depth knowledge of these principles, we will just rub minds. And then for those who are new to accounting principles, I believe that I should be able to bring us up to speed with the principles. And then it's also for us to understand that accounting principles is basically for accurate record keeping, and to effect and for you to keep accurate records, it means that you have to introduce an effective accounting system. Else, your business would grow. In fact, there are people who run businesses and are not certain. You wouldn't know if you're running at a loss or you're making profit, because you may be injecting funds into the business, especially, like I said, if you're drawing funds from your account or you're supporting it. You can't separate that in Nigeria. Most people, you'd find them, um, most entrepreneurs do that. You find that the business needs maybe 350,000 to cater for salaries, and the company does not have 350,000. So the end is just like, he quickly transfers money to the business. This has happened more than often. I've seen it happen many times. So it is on this note that the business owner would always, also fetch money from the business pocket as well, because he has not separated entity. So it is important to keep. It's not wrong to fund the account of the company, but when you keep proper accounting records, you are able to recall all the moments and the exact amount that you have loaned the company. So thereby, it's easy for you to, recall your loan back. So in keeping the right accounting, books of accounts, you need the right software. If you're still operating on the manual level, which is very okay, like you're keeping hard copy books, you have cash book, you have your analysis ledger, you have your expenditure ledger, you have your revenue ledger. It's still very okay. But the right software, and they are pretty cheap. You can find um, this software in the open market off the shelf. You can get them. They are very cheap actually, and they are plug and play. They are very easy to use. So if you have the right accounting software, it helps your accounting bookkeeping to be accurate. QuickBooks, QuickBooks, Peachtree, Zero software. These are the types of simple accounting software that you can use. That is QuickBooks, Peachtree, and Zero. But there are others, of course. And so the software you use is based on your kind of business, of course. You wouldn't use for a trading company. It would use a separate software from a manufacturing company. A company who is into automobile assembly or automobile uh, mechanics, auto mechanics, and all that wouldn't use the same software as someone who is into storage, grain storage. So the one of the disadvantages of not using this customized software is that you may miss certain records. You have increased costs, uh, inefficiencies, you have errors here and there, you may even have loss of data. So, but when you have a software, there's cloud computing. As soon as you're done, even with your phone, on your phone, you can actually keep this data. So, and then you save to the cloud. But hard copy records usually are susceptible to being pilfered, number one, and sometimes, like we had this client who was supposed to face audit. We were supposed to have this audit exercise with the Federal Inland Revenue Service, and when he brought his records, they were mutilated. Rodents had eaten like about 70% of the document. It had rat poo everywhere, and then it was smelly and all that. So that's one of the disadvantages of the manual record keeping. Now, having said that, you also need to set up charts of account. Specifically, it is built specifically to your industry. Chart of account, you will not have a manufacturing kind of account, catering for a um, storage account. I mean, if your business is a storage kind of business where you just buy grains, you store them, or you buy fertilizer, you store to sell later, or you buy to reprocess, it's definitely going to there are going to be different kinds of accounts. Your financial statements will definitely be different, but the income statement, I mean the statement of financial position, definitely would be the same. The same principles will guide the books, but then the items that you find, that is the cost, the account head would definitely be different. So you need to now learn how to set up your chart of accounts with the help of a professional, or you can check online and all that. Set up your account so that every account head will cater for specifically to cater for every cost. For instance, if you're into, let's say, storage, the items of expenditure for storage would definitely be different from if you're into, let's say, you're into manufacturing. The items, the overhead costs will be different, admin costs will definitely be different. So once you're able to understand your consumables, you're able to the revenue stream is usually the same thing. Because the accounting design is usually the same thing. Most often you may have variances, especially if it's a construction company. But where we're looking at the running cost, the difference is always glaring. So once you're able to understand how to set up your account, it categorizes all the listings. It makes it easier. It makes it simpler. Your general ledger at a glance. Someone who's looking at it at a glance is able to interpret and understand the workings of the company. Now, disadvantages of not setting up proper accounts is, of course, you will have disorganized records. It's going to make it difficult for you to generate accurate financial reports and track financial performances. As soon as you miss it from the onset, your business may be impinged by these lapses. So understand the chart of accounts and enter these records correctly. Now usually we see these instances. Somebody, you will see in an account, the account head is, let's say, generator running expenses. Now, generator running expenses is just an umbrella. You could have fueling for generator. It could be diesel. It could be what is it called now? Greasing. Perhaps you bought grease, or you're buying lubricant. That is like engine oil, or you're replacing parts. So if you say generator running expenses, you now have to divide, separate those costs to say, okay, fueling for generator. What kind of fuel? Are you buying diesel? Are you buying kerosene, as the case may be? Are you buying CNG? Are you buying that is liquefied natural gas, or you're buying what's it called now? DPK? Depending on the kind of gas, you need to now explain. So you may even have two generators. One is a diesel gen, the other one is a gasoline gen, or you have one that is um, using some cooking gas. Now you need to identify, because if you do not identify, you may be thinking that we're spending too much on diesel. Meanwhile, it was gasoline. So once you're unable to differentiate, you may be making the wrong decision, whereby it is gasoline you're spending too much funds on. You may now say, okay, let's increase, or let's discard gasoline, or let's discard the other, In fact, you may just be making the wrong decisions if you don't classify your expenditure correctly. And then you're replacing parts. If you have bought a part consistently, if you keep buying the part consistently, and you just lumped up these expenses as generator running expenses, you may not know what is infiltrating your cost in that cost center. The cost center will say generator running expenses, but then it is not fueling, it is not lubricant, but a part that you keep, changing. It may be an indicator that your generator is about to collapse. You need to change the entire machine. But then you just assume that we're spending too much on fuel, or we're spending too much on this. So accurate record keeping. In fact, if you keep accurate records as regards to the generator fueling and what have you, it may just be an indicator that why don't we go solar? Let's introduce solar. Because once you have the record beautifully outlined, it tells you, in fact, it is an indicator. It just gives you an indicator whether you're growing, whether you're not doing well. It subdivides your company, into several aspects, and it's easy for you to identify growth, identify depletion, identify losses. For for inventory, like we said yesterday, if you don't keep proper inventory, at what point, if you are into production, if you notice, sometimes you may just find out that bread is scarce for no reason, not because the input for producing bread, for instance, is not in the market, or not because the cost has skyrocketed. You just notice that a particular kind of bread is scarce. Now, this may be due to non-adherence to proper record keeping. If you don't know your buffer level, if you don't know when you need to you know, bring in more stock. For instance, you know that your demand for bread will be high during the weekend, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. It is an indicator for you to know that what the inventory you have in stock should not exceed a particular limit, or should not be below a particular limit rather. Once there's an indicator that we are already at this level, then we need to quickly replenish the stock. So sometimes you would find out that it is weekend, you need bread, and there's no, let's say, ABC bread, for instance, it's not in the market. Sometimes it may just be as a result of improper record keeping. Someone has gone to sleep not recognizing that we would usually need this product in the stock so that we can produce more for the weekend. Um, you also need regular financial reviews. Very important. Now, you want to review a record that has not been properly kept. How is that going to suffice? Think about it. You have not kept, if you're looking at ABC up to Z, and you have not properly written it out, how do you review such? It means that you cannot review what has not been properly kept. So it is easier to review and identify lapses, identify growth, identify opportunities, identify expansion opportunities, and what have you. And identify risk. Very important. Identify risk as well. So if you don't keep proper record, even when you want to analyze it, it becomes an issue. So very important. Failure to conduct regular reviews can result to undetected errors. It may even result to undetected fraud. Fraud will be happening, you will never know. Like the man that I said who has a phone store, his brother kept, pilfering, taking out iPhone. I think he loved iPhone 11. So they thought they had, perhaps for the price of iPhone 11 at that time. So they thought they had a particular number of iPhone 11, and alas, my friend was already pilfering them. And non-compliance, it's also going to lead to non-compliance to financial regulation. You're stating that the stock that you have you have consumed is a particular number, but your books is stating otherwise. You understand? Your books of accounts is showing this, but what you have is different. So it will also impinge on your adherence to financial regulations. It's also going to lead to financial loss, and it may also lead to legal issues. Now, let me give you an instance. We have this client who is into sale of cooking gas. Now, every time he buys cooking gas from Matrix Energy is somewhere in Warri. Ideally, when your truck reaches Jos, he is in Jos anyways. So when his truck reaches Jos, it comes with a mandate. It comes with a manifest. So the manifest will state the cost of the item. It will state the kilogram of the product. it will state, every information that is contained about that batch that has been sold. So they take this, they take the vehicle to NASCO or Coca-Cola, as the case may be, where they have a scale, a very large scale, where you drive your truck upon it and then it weighs it. So the total weight of that product is the weight of the truck plus weight of the product. So from Worry, they would have told our clients that the truck is weighing 100 kilograms. Or yes, as the case may be, and then your product is supposed to weigh 200 kilograms. So you're supposed to have 300 kilograms, as the case may be. He takes it to NASCO, and then they weigh and find out that instead of 300 kilograms, that is plus 100 for the truck and 100 for the product, you're having 285 or you have 275. There's always a margin that has been depleted off the actual weight. This continued for a while. Now, if the sellers don't take record, it means that the buyer may also not know. Also, the buyer also takes record. So now it is record against record. We are comparing records. Yes, you have told me that you're sending 300 kilograms, and I have weighed, and we're having 15 kilograms, less by 15 kilograms. So this, it became a trend, and then the man had to write severally back to, he got his own report, scanned them, and sent back to the company and told them that we have varying records. The company now decided to look into their own activities. Now, because they also had been keeping records, but they were keeping it inaccurately. The persons that they have, the personnel who were handling dispatch of products, were into funny practices. So they now had to check. What these guys were doing is they would sell less the quantity to you and overstate what had been sent to you. If the buyer was not diligent enough to also check records, he may not have known. So they would populate 15 kg, 15 kg, 15 kg until it gets to a truck. They now sell and migrate the funds, the revenue to another account that is not related to Matrix Energy. And they were cooling off. They were chilling. They were big boys, and the company never knew. So the only way these kind of fraudulent activities can be identified is by proper record keeping. Proper record keeping helps you, to reconcile records and identify where lapses are. So when you keep proper records, it also leads us to adequate or accurate financial analysis. Once your records are okay, it is easier for you to analyze your balance sheet. It is easier for you to analyze your income statement, and it is easier for you to analyze your cash flow statement. Remember, we talked about these accounts yesterday: your balance sheet, your income statement, and your cash flow statement. These are the necessary books that your stakeholders will be looking at. Once your stakeholder comes, you want to buy into the stake of the business, he'll just ask you for your financial report. As soon as you give him, if he's knowledgeable about financials, he goes straight to your balance sheet, he checks your income statement, and he checks your cash flow statement. And once there are disparaging figures, it's easy to notice, because your balance sheet would definitely be different from what your cash flow analysis is saying. It's going to have different varying records from what your income statement is also saying. So very accurate from day one at the inception, to know that record keeping is the key basis for proper business analysis and what have you. So, well, the disadvantage of not keeping accurate business record, accurate data is you may have critical financial insights. You may not even know when to expand. You may not even know or see opportunities. You will be running at a loss and you would not know. We had this client who would always come to the office with, like I said yesterday, he would buy this thing for his house. His villagers will come. In fact, if you go to his office, you will find his church members. They are waiting. So they come from the village because he's from an interior village and he's like a village champion. So all the church people will come, the in-laws will come, the cousins will come, the who will come. He will just be telling the manager, hey, Bashi 50,000, Bashi 15,000. He's a philanthropist, doing well. But then the business growth is being impeded because of his own activity. always drawing from the account of the company. So I told him, I said, Oga, what you need to do is place yourself on salary. Once you are on salary, it is easy for you spend from your salary. Or if you're taking from the company, let it be that you're taking loans from the company. The company is desirous of growth, but your own activities is impeding on this growth. And then he keeps coming to complain, bar riba, bar riba. Bar riba is no profit, no profit. I'm just talking, no profit. He's overdoing things that are not necessary for the business growth. Now, keeping records properly will lead us to tax compliance and management. If your records are not properly kept, it means you cannot be compliant where you're supposed to render returns to the federal government or state government. Now, tax compliance and management will basically help the business or the business owner to understand tax obligations, especially within the frame of operation where we are right now in Nigeria. It will also help you to manage and comply with tax requirements and also understand the implications, because if you don't do the right thing, the implication is both ways. It is either, if you're doing the right thing or not doing the right thing, there are implications to this aspect. So if you keep the proper records, you may not suffer. And it is also easy for you to manage your taxes where you have kept proper records. But where you have not kept records, in fact, if you are a prudent, I have seen prudent, very shrewd business owners. Sorry to say, Igbo people from the eastern part of the country, they are shrewd business owners. They are almost very prudent. But because of lack of proper record keeping, I have seen many who suffer. Now, why is that? Well, your revenue, like I said yesterday, for you to generate 500 million uh, naira as revenue, it means that you must have put a lot of money, direct costs and indirect costs, to have generated 500 million naira. Tax authority comes. The tax authority comes and they're asking for records. Your bank statement has rightly shown that you have show your cost. Bank statement is not prudent enough to lead the tax person to say, okay, he actually had incurred all this. They just tax based on your BOJ. Is a kind of assessment. Before you pay taxes, by the way, there's an assessment. An assessment always has a basis. Now, the basis for a BOJ, so BOJ is a type of assessment. So a BOJ would be issued where there are disputes. The tax authority comes, you don't have accurate records, but they have your bank statement. They just issue you a BOJ. That is best of judgment. The tax law actually allows the taxman, to use his discretion to say, okay, and there are rates for BOJ. So you will just be suffering arbitrarily because you have not kept accurate records. Now, we want to look at the tax system so that we can understand the type of taxes that is applicable to our businesses. We have the company's income tax, that is CIT for short. We have value-added tax. Now, company income tax is a function of your profit. I will not want to go in there so I don't confuse us, but just understand that there's company income tax is a kind of tax. We have value-added tax is also a kind of tax. We have education tax is a kind of tax. We have withholding tax, a kind of it's an advance payment for company income tax. It's usually deducted as source. And then we have capital gains tax. We have petroleum profit tax. But for SMEs, basically what would be applicable, the taxes that would be applicable might just be value-added tax, companies income tax, and education tax. Well, in some instances, withholding tax is deducted. So I'll just quickly run through the taxes. Company income tax, that is the CIT. The rate for CIT is 0 if your turnover is less than 25 million. The rate for CIT is 20% of your adjusted profit if your turnover is more than 25 million, but not more than 100 million. So 30% is the rate for company income tax if your turnover is more than is from 100 million and above. That is 30% of your adjusted profit. Adjusted profit is a function of your profit after all the costs have been charged. So if your revenue, for instance, is 100 million, your direct cost is 25 million. It means you have a gross profit of 75 million. If your running cost is another 25 million, or operating cost is 25 million, that means direct cost is 25 million, operating cost is 25 million, that's 50 million. Take 50 million out of your turnover. Your turnover is 100 million. You have 50 million as your balance. Then there's what we call depreciation. Depreciation as adjustment is what you enjoy for the assets that you have bought. So there's a relief that is granted. You add back depreciation to your gross profit. Perhaps your depreciation is ₦1 million and your gross profit is 50 million. So depreciation plus your net profit, rather, that is profit before tax. So 1 million plus 50 million is 51 million. So 30% of 51 million, assuming your turnover is 100 million, we use 100 million in this instance. So your adjusted profit is depreciation plus net profit. Net profit is revenue minus direct cost minus administrative cost or running cost or operational running cost. Yeah. So that is your adjusted profit. You will now tax 30% of 51 million, and you will give, I think that's about 20 million to Federal Inland Revenue Service, as the case may be. Education tax. Education tax used to be 2%, then it became like 2 years ago it was 2.5%, but now the Finance Act was further amended, and education tax is now 2% of whatever your adjusted profit is. So 2%, I mean 3% rather, of whatever your adjusted profit is. So education tax is usually minimal. Then there's value added tax. Value added tax is not borne by the company. Value added tax is borne by the final consumer of a product. Now, it is called value added tax because you would have bought an item and then you would have maybe processed it, you would have added value. Once you add value to an item, then you must charge value added tax. Value added tax is not applicable to all consumables. There are basic consumables that value added tax is not applicable to, especially household, basic food items, some baby food, diapers, soap for babies, and especially drugs, and even education. If you have an educational institution like a secondary school, primary school, except for professional kind of education, the value added tax is applicable. So value added tax at the moment in Nigeria is 7.5% of turnover. So if you approach me and you want an item and I tell you this item is 10,000 naira, it means I will have to add 7.05% of 10,000. If I have bought it for 10,000, I may have incurred VAT. If I have not incurred VAT, then I should charge VAT and render to FIRS. So if I have charged VAT at 7.5, assuming there are several instances where you would get a product and VAT has not been included. So you charge VAT if you bought for 10,000 and you're selling for say 12,000, you will charge VAT on 12,000, add it, and then take out the VAT that has been charged, render to FIRS, and take back your 12,000 naira. You bought it at 10,000, you're selling at 12,000, then you will add back. That is why if you go to Onigbinde, for instance, or any structured formalized store, you will find out that if you check your receipt, there's always VAT added to it. If you go to Net Cafe, you find that. If you go to Onigbinde, if you go to King's Bike and all that, you will always find that VAT is added. So that VAT that is collected is borne by you, but not by King's Bike, not by the merchant. So it is now rendered to FIRS. There are instances where you would have incurred, that is the business owner now, would have incurred value added tax. So when he is selling as well, he adds the value added tax, and then it's quite technical, but then there's a way you would charge input VAT and output VAT. There are two types of VAT. So input VAT and output VAT. Input VAT is the VAT that has been incurred by the business owner. For instance, he goes to buy an item. If VAT has been charged at, let's say, 50 naira, when you are selling, because VAT is inclusive of the cost of that item. So maybe you have bought it at 10,000 naira. As you are selling, when you sell at, let's say, 15,000, 15,000 is inclusive of your 0.75% VAT. You will now deduct, so you calculate the VAT that you have suffered plus the VAT that you have charged. Then you deduct the VAT that you have suffered and pay the VAT that is due to FIRS. It is quite technical, it may not be that easy, but just have an understanding that we have input VAT and output VAT. Where VAT has not been charged, then you will need to charge holistically and render to FIRS. There is another modification to that act. The Finance Act, in fact, this law has been sleeping, it has always been there. For you to, there's what we call self-charge. If I go to the market and I purchase a laptop and VAT, especially if you're buying from a store that is not structured, if VAT is not charged and you are a company, you have bought from this store and you have bought at 600,000 and VAT was never charged, it is advised that you self-charge yourself and say, Oga FIRS, so I don't come, I buy this in 600,000, VAT was not charged, so I'm paying VAT on this item. So that when the tax people approach your office and they're looking at your receipt, by the time they populate your receipt and they want to ask you for value-added tax, you can now bring those receipts where you have charged yourself. Although that has always been a major issue, you know, we have been back and forth with it as regards to practicability of some of these laws, because the awareness is usually not there, so it's usually difficult to implement some of these laws. And then there's withholding tax. Withholding tax is usually applicable where you render contract services. Now it depends on the contract service. Contract services for supplies, for construction, for to develop software, to basically once it's contract, 5% is withholding tax. It's going to be deducted. It will be sent to FIRS. FIRS will hold it. Whenever you submit your returns to FIRS, you will now use withholding tax to offset companies' income tax, so you don't pay double. It means that the taxes have been deducted, sent to FIRS at any point in time when you're filing your returns. Then you can approach the FIRS and make use of the withholding tax that has been taken at source to defray your taxes. So withholding tax only defrays company income tax. It doesn't defray any other tax. Education tax is paid by the business owner. Value-added tax is paid by the final consumer. Those are tax rates. Now, non-adherence to these tax rates may lead to incorrect filing. Once you have incorrect filing, it may result to penalties. FIRS, when the tax people come, when I come to your company, and when we look at your books and we discover that you have understated or you have underpaid, then the actual rate will be calculated. The difference will now be demanded of, and then interest and penalties will be charged at about 29% or 30% holistically. So if you're supposed to render 30,000 and you render 20,000, by the time we come and say you are supposed to pay 10,000, we will now add interest and penalties of 30%. So 10,000, 30%, that means you'll be paying about 13,000. Now imagine if you're paying, if the understatement is by 1 million, it means you'll be paying close to 1.2 million. You understand? So it is usually good for us to keep accurate records so that we can now understand the tax rate so that we don't underpay. And this may damage the reputation of the company. There was this instance that Dangote was billed, I think, 16.8 billion. He had an assessment of 16.8 billion because they understated their records, and then they rendered less taxes as they ought to. Now, for your company to adhere to tax regulation, it means you have to approach the body that is the statutory body that you are supposed to comply to. Now, FIRS is one. State revenue, that is like if you're in Plateau State now, it is the State Board of Internal Revenue. That is Plateau State Board of Internal Revenue. Or if you're in Abuja, for instance, it is FCTIRS, that is Federal Capital Internal Revenue Service. So other states have theirs. So if it's a business name that you have incorporated, that is, you have been to CAC, you have incorporated a business name and as an entity, or you have a limited liability company, as the case may be. If it's anything that is a business name, you go to Board of Internal Revenue. But anything that is other than a business name, that is the business venture without a limited. I mean, with a limited, it is FIRS that handles it. So banks, insurance houses, airlines, blue chip companies, all the companies that you can think of, with the exception of a business venture. Business venture is what we know as one man business. So every other thing goes to FIRS. What would be due to Board of Internal Revenue is the payee. Payee, that is PAYE. Payee is pay as you earn. I forgot to mention the taxes that the PSIRS, that is the Plateau State Internal Revenue Service, collects. They collect payee. Payee is a tax that you render to Board of Internal Revenue on behalf of your staff. So if your staff salary is, as you're paying the staff, you're supposed to deduct payee and render to Board of Internal Revenue. That is a tax that the salary earner pays to State Internal Revenue Service. The State Internal Revenue Service also collects development levy. Development levy is a levy, it's an amount that each staff pays. I think it's now 300 naira. So 300 per staff. Aside the pay you're paying, you're rendering to the State Board of Internal Revenue, you render 300 naira per staff, and it is once a year. So if you don't, now the penalty for not rendering pay, development levy, and there's another levy now, business premises registration, is 500,000 naira. Obedience is better than sacrifice. 500,000 naira if you miss to render it. So, but the tax authority has been lenient. They just overlook some of these things, and they just allow you to remit. But in actual sense, non-compliance to that is flat rate of 500,000 naira. So if you have defaulted 3 years, that's 1.5 million plus interest and penalty at 30%. Now, that is one statutory body, the State Board of Internal Revenue. Another statutory body is Federal Inland Revenue Service, that is FIRS. Another statutory body is NSITF, that is Nigerian Social Insurance Trust Fund. Now, Nigerian Social Insurance Trust Fund collects 1% of your gross salary. For each staff, you're supposed to render 1% to Nigerian Social Insurance Trust Fund. Now, what the trust fund does is that whenever there's an issue of, let's say, accident, a mishap along the course of work, there are categories of accidents, that the way they have categorized them in percentages. So if a worker accidentally maybe breaks his leg at site while they are working and all that, there's a percentage of the cost of, it's like an insurance. Basically, it's insurance. So the Nigerian Social Insurance Trust Fund, having registered with them, would look into the matter and offset, whatever bill that the worker who has suffered that injury, has incurred. NSITF does that. So most business owners don't know this. Another statutory compliance body is the ITF. That is, ITF is I forgot it. Something trust fund. Okay, well, basically ITF. I cannot believe I forgot what it means. So industrial training fund. Sorry, industrial training fund. Now we're supposed to remit 1% also of our gross earnings to ITF. So if you don't do that, the company also would be penalized. There's a penalty for that, and interest and penalties as well. Now there's a statutory penalty, and there's interest and penalty that will be collected. So another statutory compliant body that we're supposed to remit to is PENCOM. That is the pension fund. Now the pension fund basically is kind of a savings scheme for the employee. The employee would remit 8% of whatever salaries and remuneration he or she is taking, and then the company is mandated to remit 10%. So making 18% of whatever is due to the employee. Okay. Filing returns. It is expected that the company should file returns. Now, filing of returns is both to all the compliant, statutory bodies that I have mentioned. You would file to that is payee and whatever other taxes to State Board of Internal Revenue. You file your year-end financial report, to both Board of Internal Revenue. If you are a business venture, if you are a limited liability company, you file it to FIRS so that you can now cater for your taxes. And then you file to your NSIC 1% schedule. You draw out the schedule and submit to them. The same thing to ITF, then the same thing to PENCOM. PENCOM is the statutory deduction for savings. Now, having done that, it is important, like we said, to keep accurate books, because all these bodies would come back to you to demand for evidences of this deduction. Now, they want to check to see that if you have rendered payee at 60 naira, are you rendering accurate payee? They would ask for your pay slip, all the pay slip of your staff. They want to see the pay slip of all the employees. Then they would recalculate. So at intervals, you're going to receive a letter from either Board of Internal Revenue or FIRS. We call it an audit exercise. So it's a periodic thing. They will come for an audit exercise, or from even PENCOM would write to you to say, let's see your schedule. NSITF also does that. They want to see if you are rendering the accurate schedule. So it's just easy to go to your payslip and then we calculate. Once it is tabulated, they will see if you are rendering accurately or not. So it is important that even for tax purposes, even for remittances to all of these statutory bodies, that we keep accurate records. Now, so these records would always save us, like I said yesterday, on the day of reckoning. Finally, I'll go to tax management. Tax management, there are tax management practices, in order that you are not evading tax. There's what we call tax management. So when you manage your tax, it means that you're trying to, if you understand the law, let me put it this way, if you understand the law, there's this term, not evasion now, tax, well, basically it's tax management, but there's a term for it. I cannot quickly pull that out now. But so if you have kept accurate records, it is easier for you to manage your taxes, because you will understand where you have incentives. There are certain incentives that you will take advantage of. There are legal incentives. If you have not kept records, there's no how you can take advantage of these incentives. In fact, there are even moratorium periods where, for particular kind of businesses like mining, agriculture, food processing, and all that, certain periods that you may not even need to pay taxes. But if you haven't kept the right records and you don't understand the tax law, you will just be paying when you're not supposed to pay, or when you're supposed to pay, you will underpay, and then incur the wrath of these statutory bodies. So, when the tax audit now comes, you begin to explain. And have issues. Now, what the audit does, whenever you get a letter, most times when CEOs of companies get a letter from any of these statutory bodies, they start rejecting. You see that they are afraid. They will call the tax person and they have written you. I don't know what they are looking for. Blah blah blah. Then I will remind you, when I have asked you to keep. If you are listening to this, you will remember on the day of reckoning that I asked you to keep this record, keep it properly, and then manage your taxes. Plan your business. If you don't plan, you pay more taxes or pay less taxes. So, but if you have kept your record, the LNG, the guy who sells cooking gas that I was telling you about, when he got a letter, he was actually afraid, and I told him there's no problem, because I know that he usually keeps his record. Now he brought his records. They were in a truck. I have seen instances where, when there's a tax audit, the company doesn't have a single paper, a single sheet. They have not kept anything. But this man brought his invoices, his receipts, his requisition books, his payment vouchers, his bank statements. He brought it in a truck and kept them in our office. When we were going to the FIRS, we had to beg them that we are bringing records to your office, so allow us to access to your gate. And we drove in. When they saw records, they were also afraid. So, right, it is easy for the person who defends you, the tax consultant, to work head high when you have kept records, and it's also going to augur well for the company. So now we are loggerheads because we have records, they don't have records. I mean, it is usual that when you get such a notification, usually companies in Nigeria don't keep records. So they saw a lot of records. Now we're at loggerheads. They have told us that we're paying additional taxes. And we have said, no, we're not paying additional taxes because we have this record. In fact, we drew a schedule. Imagine drawing a schedule for every day. That is the total sales in a day for 1 year. That is 12 months, 365 days times 6 years. We do schedule for every sale that was made. And the FIRS was, wow. We drew all the schedule. For all his expenditure, we had the record. For salaries, for fueling, for repairs, for what have you. So maybe FIRS will be refunding to the man if he has overpaid taxes. Eventually, it may lead to that. So if you have kept accurate records, you may even get refunds. You will avoid litigation. You will avoid damaging the reputation of the company if you don't evade taxes. Now, so for you to deal with proper, because audits will definitely come, whether you like it or not. That's why you need to keep accurate records. For companies that don't keep accurate records, you will have poor preparation for audit. It means your financial statement will be poor. It would not, it will not be an accurate an accurate representation of the business activity. And then you're going to have negative audit findings, additional taxes will come, penalties, and even legal disputes. There are companies in Jos that ladies and gentlemen, that are battling legal matters at the moment. We have represented quite a handful. So the company would say, no, we are not supposed to pay this amount. Or when you receive the assessment for audit, you will be wondering that I didn't make such money. In fact, there was a company who was served an assessment of 97 million. He has only operated for 3 years and he was served an audit assessment for 97 million. And the man said, in my entire operational years, which is 3 years, I have not earned 97 million. Now, how did they come by this? Because they are going to add the prop. Now, if your actual turnover is 100 million, and in your books, you stated that your actual turnover is 20 million, the difference is 80 million. They will just get the 80 million and write it down. They will say you have understated turnover. They will now tax 80 million at 30%. When they tax at 30%, now whatever percentage that is, that's about 20 something million, maybe 27 to 7.5 million. They will keep it and then do another 30% of that amount as your penalties and interest. So imagine that you didn't keep accurate records, you will be overpaying taxes for non-compliance. Now, even if you have kept accurate records and you do not file when you are supposed to file, there are penalties for that. There's what we call late return penalty, LRP. I'm sorry I'm taking too much of our time, but it's just necessary that we understand some of these tax laws. There's what we call LRP. LRP is late return penalty. There's always a time frame for submission of whatever statutory document that you're supposed to file, even your business registration with the CAC. There are certain post-incorporation activities that if you want to carry out, if there's a memorandum, if the company has reached an agreement to, let's say we want to take loan or we want to change the director, there's a time frame, it's usually 14 days. When you don't file after that meeting has been held and you draw the document and you don't file within 14 days of reaching that agreement to CAC, you also pay penalties for not informing the CAC accurately. So whatever record that you're supposed to file with any statutory body, it is important that you know the laws that are guiding submission of those documents. So that's one is usually called LRP, late return filing. And then it is important for every business to underscore its business by carrying out financial analysis and growth strategy. It is not enough to keep accurate records. It is not enough to budget. It is not enough to file to FIRS accordingly, but until you include financial analysis and growth strategy. Now, this will help you to understand all these techniques, financial analysis techniques. It also will help you to understand your financial data and make strategic decisions. It's also going to help you to identify growth strategies for your company. Now, financial analysis strategies, we have like three, I think more than three. But for now, we'll look at ratio analysis. Ratio analysis, under ratio analysis, you have the liquidity ratio. The liquidity liquidity ratio helps you to assess a business ability to meet short-term obligations. Current ratio, quick ratio, and all that. So if you have short-term obligations and you don't know your liquidity ratio, you may just be thinking we have money, and then there's an obligation for you to pay certain loans. You may just be surprised that you don't have the capacity to defray those loans. You may even need to expand, like the bread instance I gave now. If your liquidity ratio is poor, it means that you would always have scarcity where your demand is high, because you don't have the funds on ground to always meet the demand, to to produce more when the demand is high for bread during the weekend, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. So it will impact greatly if you don't carry out an accurate liquidity ratio of your company. Profitability ratio is another one. It helps you to evaluate the business ability to make profit. You may just be doing profit, running a company year in, year out. You are just toiling for the company, you're paying taxes to government, and the owners of the business are not earning profit. It is very possible. So profitability ratio is very important. There are softwares that can do all that. So far, you have kept accurate records. Now, it still brings us back to accurate record keeping. If you have not kept accurate records, there's no how you're going to have accurate liquidity ratio analysis, accurate profitability ratio analysis. Now, it is your profit ratio, whether gross margin profit or net profit margin, that helps you to understand if your business is growing or not. Another one is solvency ratio. Solvency ratio helps you to determine a business ability to meet long-term obligations. If you have a long-term debt that is beyond 12 months, if you have not done your solvency ratio, you will be surprised when it is time to render or to defray this loan. You will just be grappling, and it may lead to maybe winding down. Most winding down issues is because their solvency ratio is usually bad, or they don't even carry out solvency ratio. So ignoring ratio analysis can actually lead to unrecognized financial status or weakness. You would not know that the company is weak because they have not carried out all this ratio analysis. And then it makes it difficult to secure financing and even debt to long term or manage debt effectively. Now, I know someone who has a company. We all know that person. The person is the person is a face everywhere. This person takes loan all the time. The bankers have told the person that you are credible. You are very credible. I have always asked this person, how do you survive on loans? You would see loans 300, 400 million, year in, year out. This person takes loans close to a billion naira every year because the ratio analysis is extremely correct. Liquidity ratio, profitability ratio, solvency ratio, especially. So this person knows that once I take this loan and my record keeping is correct, I can, project and know that at social point in time, I need to produce this, that I need to supply, because it brings us back to value. The person's value of meeting needs is very high. So this person has done all the analysis, and the banker, now, mind you, this person pays 32% of interest on these loans, and the business has been growing and growing and growing and growing. So loans are actually good for the company if you have done proper analysis. It makes it easy for you to manage this debt. Now there's a break-even analysis as well. It's also a ratio that you need to know. You need to know at what point is the company making profit. Because if you don't understand that point, that break-even point, where total revenue equals total cost, if you do not understand break-even point, if you operate below the break-even point, you will just be suffering for the company. Operating below the break-even point, you'll be suffering for the company. But once it is a digit above break-even point, it means you are making profit. Very important to understand this break-even point. Then financial forecasting. It is also good for you to, once you have kept all these ratios, you have done accurate budgeting, you have done kept the right books, you have done financial tax planning and what have you. It is easier for you to forecast your finances. It's very easy because you will just look at your record, you will look at the growth analysis and look at the trend. Once you are able to analyze the trend, it's easy for you to say at this point in time that we have made profit or not. Ladies and gentlemen, I think my time is up. I may not be able to talk about, but then I would just say for you to for a better understanding, look up strategic decision making. It helps you once you have kept all these records. Once everything is intact, not exactly intact. If you have say if you have done 80%, then it helps you and you can make proper financial analysis, proper decision making, and your investment appraisal would also be um, always or almost accurate, and then your growth strategies would be formidable. So it's easy for you to say in the next. Look at companies overseas. They will tell you in the next 2 3 years we would be in so and so countries because data keeping is perfect. The trend and analysis is perfect. Funding options are also there. Once you have not kept accurate records, you will not be credible. Nobody wants to loan monies to a company that would not be able to defray its loans. And then it's easy for you to scale your options. You have endless options. Ladies and gentlemen, it is time for our question and answer session. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Powerful, powerful.
Thank you so much,
I
sir.
I really was just thinking of every business owner. I was I was thinking of all the business owners that are on this program tonight, and I literally was pitying them because in some way you would know that there's a lot that entails running a business. While you are really going all out and all in, to do what needs to be done, you have to go by the books as well, and that will go a long way to help. Stinker, very quickly while you're still here, I will just have you answer one of the questions that is here so that we can wrap up for tonight because of the time factor constraint right now. Someone is asking if a company has already defaulted in taxes, how can it be remedied, and are there soft landings for reporting yourself, or you still be penalized? Yes, sir. Did you get that?
Yeah, sure, I got it.
All right, sir. You can go ahead.
So this question is from Grateful Akande. If a company has already defaulted in taxes, how can it be remedied? And are there soft landings for reporting yourself, or you will still be penalized? Well, the discretion of soft landing usually falls on the table of the officer who is in charge. Let's say the tax controller. It is, like we say, they should apply these laws with a human face. So, in order for the tax office to encourage you to pay taxes, there are instances where the office would just say, okay, your taxes, they would calculate the exact taxes that you ought to pay. And sometimes they want to look at the strength of the company and say, okay, you're doing well, you're not doing well, and all that. And so, at the discretion of the tax office, they can have this soft money. But if you encounter a mean person, they want to go by the book, sincerely speaking. So, but then how you remedy it is now to, get a consultant. If you can do it by yourself, if you know the ways around it, reanalyze your books and what have you, and prepare proper records and then render accurately. Sometimes it is better that you render without the tax office or any statutory body coming after you. You would always get a soft landing if you have done the needful on your own without the statutory bodies coming after you. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir, for clarifying that. I'd like to just quickly also ask for one other question that we have here. When you borrow to run a business and you make profit as a company but still in debt due to the loan you're servicing, will you still be taxed? Did you get that, sir?
Yes, you will still be taxed. The government doesn't want to know whether you have borrowed you have accessed loan to float your company. So far, you're making profit. In fact, if you have taken loan to float your company or to run a business organization, there are instances where you still make losses and still pay taxes. It is complicated, but there are instances. You know, yesterday I mentioned minimum tax. Minimum tax, I said, after 4 years of running a company, you may be running at a loss, but minimum tax is 0.05% of your turnover. So they just go and say, okay, instead of um, meanwhile you are taking loans and you are running at a loss, you still pay taxes. Meanwhile, you have taken loans, you have made profit, and you are still in debt, you still pay taxes. Loan is a different, it is the company's business. The other question is from Pamundaba. For a contract service based company, does pay applies to everyone, all workers in the company, except those workers who are under wages, those daily pay workers. So it applies to everyone who is on the payroll of the company, except those ones who come to mix concrete, the ones we call laborers, except those ones. Then number two, now this is where tax management comes in, but we will not delve into that. But just understand that PAYE applies to those staff that are on the payroll, but not for the ones who are on site mixing cement. Question two, as regards taxes, is PAYE tax paid monthly or annually? It is monthly. Before the 10th of every month, you would pay for last month. So if you're rendering PAYE for January, for instance, you render it to the State Board of Internal Revenue in February before the 10th of February. Question three, what is the percentage tax for PAYE? PAYE is a complicated, in fact, the only percentage that we know is the minimum tax, which is 1%. That is where your salary is less than 30,000. That is from 29,999 naira downwards, then you charge 1%. But once it is above 30%, there's a table to calculate that. It is usually difficult to calculate. Somebody who is a professional has to do that. Although there are templates that can be used. Okay, do I need to hire a lawyer? This is from Waburu Emeka Christian. Do I need to hire a lawyer or an accountant to ensure I don't break these laws? Well, eventually, for compliance purposes, you would need a tax accountant, you need an auditor, you need a financial manager. In fact, if you need to grow, you need all this. But the knowledge is very necessary for you so that you would even know when the person that you have hired is not telling you the right thing. You, as a business owner, need this knowledge. It helps you to drive your company to greater heights. And then he says, are there publicly available resources to learn more about these laws? Yes, very well, very well. There are books, a whole lot of books. And then he asked again, okay, this is the second question I think is to Dr. Ideni.
Dr. Ideni.
Can you hear me? Okay, you can hear me, right?
Yes, we can hear you, sir.
Okay, flash. Okay, the third question is, can a new business offer services cheaper with high value in order to gain fair market share of the market share before premium pricing? Now, the strategy most business use is either price penetration or price skimming. If you are going to offer value at a high cost, you should know that you are bearing the cost. Have you factored that into your business for a period of time? For instance, when I do business plans for businesses and they want to penetrate the market, you do not expect to be at the same, to charge the same price, just like those who are already in the business, particularly if it is an existing kind of service or business or is totally new. So the circumstance or the scenario and the kind of service or product will determine whether you will use price penetration, which most times you want to get more patronage with low pricing to get turnover, rather than high pricing, which is skimming, with only few people patronizing. So I give an example. If I'm going to sell a product 50,000 naira and only 20 people will buy it, how long will it take me to get 20 people to buy it? Or should I sell it 30,000 naira and get about 60 to 70 people to buy it, even though the value of the product is not low, because I want to penetrate the market. So it depends on the product, the service, and the economic level of the market you want to penetrate. A good example is what somebody in a particular location will pay for, another person in another location will not pay for. So it's a question of value now that the person perceived by what you are bringing to the table. Thank you.
Thank you, Coach Dane, for clarifying that. That was a great one. We have taken a lot of questions tonight, and for time's sake, I don't know. A lot of persons have stayed on the call for a long while. This person needs clarity in terms of a particular tax return, and I'm hoping that we can provide answers to that. So I would want to plead with whoever had asked that question. We'll find a way to get your question through to Mr. Salami so that we don't extend beyond 8 p.m. Thank you so much, everyone who had joined in again. We'll take a final word from Dr. Kola for tonight, and then we'll be concluding with the final session tomorrow morning by 10:30 a.m. at New Covenant Church, 2B British America Junction. If you're following this stream and you are in the city of Jos, we're inviting you to come around. And if you can't join us live, you can also stream both on Facebook and YouTube. Sessions will be live. All right. So permit me to welcome very quickly Dr. Kola Ojo as we wrap the session up for tonight.
All right, thank you very much. That was an amazing session. I hope that this program has been really, the conference has been really impactful to you. We thank God that regardless of the curfew and in town, especially in the city of Jos, they were able to still hold this meeting. Normally, leverage, I beg your pardon, often hold on site, is physical. But this year we went, we had to go by this means, and thank God for technology. I hope it's been an impactful time. I just got a report that the curfew has been relaxed to 9 a.m. So our service tomorrow is going to hold by 10 a.m., not 10:30, 10 a.m. In view of the curfew that's been relaxed. So you want to be there. It's going to be a combined service. It's not going to be two services as usual tomorrow. So get set, get ready, get yourself prepared. It's going to be a time of impactation and blessing. And I know that you'll be blessed. Thank you, all our amazing speakers, Coach Ndeyi, for that value that you have delivered since the beginning of this conference, since on Thursday. Thank you very much, Mr. Olaika Salami. Such an amazing time. I know if we give you the whole day, you will keep talking about this. This is something you do for a living, is a passion. And thank you for bringing this so much value to everyone tonight, and as many as going to listen to this afterwards. Thank you again, amazing anchors, Abel and Fuki. God bless you real good. Do have a pleasant night and enjoying the rest of your day. Bye.
All right, this wraps up the session for this evening. Good night, everyone. Let's have a wonderful night rest. And thank you for following through. Have a wonderful evening.